This episode is brought to you by RIXX Eyewear. Eyewear that inspires confidence. If you would like to buy some premium eyewear, sunglasses, blue light frames, prescription, head online now, rixxeyewear.com.au and check it out. CAPZ has been Australia's home of headwear since 2012. From snapback to fitted, curved peak to flat peak, our hats will fit anyone and everyone. Since then, we've grown and evolved into the leaders of US sports apparel in Australia. Head online at capz.com.au and check it out. Righto, let's get into the show. Jamie Maclaren, welcome to the Aus American Aces and Tommy Talks show, mate. It's good to have you here. I'm going to give you a big pump up here. You know, like you go on Wikipedia and I'm just going to read out because it is good for everyone listening to know a little bit about you before we get right into it. This is what it says at Wikipedia at the top. I love reading these because you can edit them. Jamie Maclaren, born 29th of July 1993, same age as us, so that's great, 93 born. A professional soccer player who's played as a striker for the Melbourne City in the A-League. Previously played at, I can't say that, that's a German Bundesliga.
Darmstadt.
There you go.
In German.
Perth Glory, Brisbane Roar, and the Hibs. Initially represented Scotland at youth level, but has since appeared for Australia. So we'll talk about that later on, both at youth and senior international level, which is just massive. And this is the one that I love the most. 4th time you've won the Golden Boot winner in the A-League, and you're the second highest scorer ever in the A-League's history, mate.
They've changed that 4th time. It was only happened the other night. So.
Oh, really? So now it's gone up.
Now it's 4, yeah.
Mate, welcome to the show. But that is... You're the man.
Nah, look, I wouldn't say that. I think we'll talk about it in the podcast.
Yeah.
I've worked for those accolades, and I've had some good people around me that have helped along the journey.
It is great. And, mate, first of all, congratulations. Recently married.
Yes.
What, March, was it?
No, April. 1st of April. April Fools. We fucked up for the last 2 years. Obviously, COVID has stuffed us around, and we thought what a fitting day to obviously get married on April Fools. And obviously, her family's from Perth, so it was really hard to plan stuff like that. So here we are, married man, and happy as ever.
Congratulations, mate. Yeah, I feel for you and everyone else that's had to put all their weddings on hold. And it's funny, my old man works down at Lawson Lodge in Massett, and his best mate runs that, and they do a lot of weddings, and he's had to deal with heaps. He obviously puts the glamping tents up and down, and with the team down there, and he's just said how many people had to reschedule the last couple of years.
Just the businesses that get affected. You know what I mean? Like we were just 2 people, but you can imagine those businesses have thousands of people. So it's been difficult. Obviously, everyone's had their own issues with COVID. So, we're married now, and we can now obviously move on to bigger and better things with, trying to start a young family and whatever, and have a honeymoon post-season.
Yeah, it's awesome, mate. No, congratulations. There was actually a little bit of speculation around the date, wasn't there? I remember you put his story up. I said to Jackie, what's going on here? Yeah. I think Archie Thompson, who I love because he's so funny, but a few people disagreed with the decision. Yeah. Family always comes first. Do you want to touch on the speculation and why?
Guaranteed. I think, look, I've said what I've needed to say, and this date was chosen well over a year ago, and, didn't have any football in mind because family does come first, and I chose a Friday. Didn't think that it would affect any sort of games, and if it did, we could work around it. And it just didn't fall in line with, the second Socceroo game. I was there for the first one, played 6 minutes off the bench, and I was a talking point, which was pretty embarrassing from the pundits' point of view. So it's all dealt with. We move on, and you just got to be the bigger person and get your head down and just worry about things and let them talk.
That's it, mate. External noise, block it out. Family does come first, and it's just the way it is, isn't it? You can't control those kind of things. But and also in recent news, premiers, top of the table, Melbourne City secured back-to-back A-League men's premierships on Monday night, and a 2-1 tense encounter with Wellington. How was that, and how's the feelings amongst the group?
No, it was really good. It was going into the game where we kind of choked a little bit in Perth last week. We forgot the 3 points. It was ours. We kind of made it difficult for ourselves, knowing that we had to win on Monday night, and but it also gave us that cup final feeling where 3 points is enough, but anything below that, and you give the title to your rivals, Melbourne Victory. So, who my sister works for, might I mention, and we've got a bit of banter with that. So the last couple of years she's been working there. So yeah, we won. Obviously a tense second half. The last 20 minutes they had us on against the ropes big time, and we got the job done. Boys stuck it out, and goalkeepers and the back four stood up really strong. And premiers back to back.
Congratulations, mate. Let's touch on your sister. That's awesome. There must be so much banter for both of you, especially her. She'd be walking around, and if you kick a bag of sausages like you normally would, she'd have to walk around and go, I'm sorry.
Yeah, look, there was a period last year we weren't mates, obviously because Victory, we beat them in one of the games quite convincingly, and they had a tough period, and we beat them 7-0 at Amy Park, and somehow I scored 5. I think everything I touched just went in, and me and Steph, we're very close, but obviously work for her is very serious, and she does so well there, and she's well respected in and around that sort of in a Victory circle. So that was tough, and it's obviously good that now we're kind of neck and neck, and first and second, Melbourne Victory, Melbourne City, and dinner tables are quite interesting now, and it's looking like a good final series too. So the family's pumped.
That is epic. So what's her role exactly?
She works with the sponsors. She helps with marketing. She'd call herself a big dog at Victory. I won't pump her up too much, but
we love this.
Outside of the starting 11 and the players at Victory and Tony Popovich, she's probably next in line to say that she makes that club
awesome.
tick.
That is awesome. Well, that's actually going to be a big next few months. So may the best person, may the best Maclaren win that. That's epic, mate. And then let's talk about the Golden Boot. Like I just said, you've won it 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
and this is your fourth time winning it.
Yeah. So I won one at Brisbane when I was, I think I was 21 at the time, and that was obviously great because you win your first one and you kind of think, man, this is unreal. And then now it's 3 in a row at Melbourne City, and people had question marks on me when I came back from Europe back to Melbourne, and all I said in my first interview that I did was, I'm going to come back here, I'm going to win things, and I'll prove to people that playing games, scoring goals, and keeping yourself in and around the national team is a big thing of mine. So looking back now, I don't regret the decision, and I think the people that might have doubted me, whether or not they're eating their words, I don't know, but I think after the goals and the Golden Boots, I've shown that I can bring the quality to this league, and I'm a local boy. I'm not a foreigner, and I take pride in that, and a proud Melbourne boy as well.
I love that, and I've always said, not me. I was never in the media, but players that were. I used to love bringing up old articles, probably in our private chats and all that, but no one does that. There's no accountability, good or bad. Players probably are told not to put too much pressure on themselves, but you obviously have there, and it's good because you become a bit accountable to that statement. So it's a bold statement to make. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, there's games. If I don't score chances, I don't sleep at night, and that's just the inner self of my believing that you should be scoring and you have high standards. And there's obviously articles and people that are always you can't please everyone, mate. In sport, you can't please anyone. It's, the Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, they still have doubters, you know what I mean? So, and they're the best that has ever played this game. So, and I'm not even anywhere near their sort of stratosphere. So it's you're always going to get it, and it's about how you deal with it, and some can handle it more than others. But as the years have gone by, the skin's just getting thicker. Yeah,
it is. That's what they say. They say if you want to be in business, you got to have thick skin. So if you want to be in professional sport, it's probably the same. But what's it actually like becoming the second highest scorer in history? And you're only young, so I don't know how many more goals you've got to kick to get.
I can tell you.
Can you?
Yeah. Of course, mate. I always follow these things, and the guy that's ahead of me, we actually won the Golden Boot together. Bessart Berisha.
He was
and strike. He was at Melbourne Victory. And he was at Brisbane as well.
He was at Brisbane,
he was a machine. And for me to, almost be anywhere near him, which I'm 23 goals behind him, is huge. And I take pride in that. It's not like I go out there trying to hunt him down, but, at 28 years of age, I believe that there's time ahead of me. And I think that, I can surpass him, but it's down to the quality, and I've got to do that. It's no point talking about it. Actions speak louder than words. And the boys in the club that I'm at the moment, I believe they can get me there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Obviously, the goals don't count in finals.
No, they do.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, the Golden Boot doesn't, because it's only fair that you do the first 26 rounds, but final series, they're still an A-League goal, so.
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's, mate, you're a huge, if there's a market out there, get me on that. That's incredible. And just on the age thing, what is the normal age of a striker in A-League?
I think it comes down to a lot of factors, and I'm sure you got injuries, and your body might start to slow down a little bit. I pride myself on sort of that first 5-yard burst. So when my body starts telling me to slow down, I've got to start working on different areas, maybe coming a bit shorter and just, finding myself in different areas on the pitch. But Probably 34, 35. There is players that play till 37, 38. Alessandro Diamanti plays at that age, and he's still at the top of his game for Western United. And if I can get anywhere near that age, I don't think my wife would be too happy, but, and the body will be screaming. But, yeah, you want to play as long as you can. You're a long time retired, and, as long as you can keep performing and playing for the fans and at the same time, I want to be able to be the guy that can play in front of your kids and show them that, Dad was an okay player and wasn't just a shit kicker, So, I've got time up my sleeve, and we'll just see. I've still got 2 years left on my Melbourne City deal, and at this point in time, don't have any intentions on going anywhere. I want to be successful with this club and really leave a big legacy, and for the next number 9 to put on a City jersey, to know that he's got a fair bit of way to go to catch me in goals.
That's brilliant, mate. That's brilliant. 28, average 36, mate. I want you to smash this record. I want to make it so far that no one gets it for 50 years. That's awesome. That's awesome, mate. And then the grand final campaign. So the next few months is huge. We just spoke about Melbourne Victory. They're ranked 2.
Yep.
How big would that be if the grand final was City v Victory?
Massive. And you want that. As a player, you want that. You want to have... We've played them in, many derbies this year, and they're a very good team. And for some reason, in derbies, it just gets cagey. Few red cards. I'm not proud. I got red carded this year and against them and in the 91st minute. So it does get fiery. But this is why you play the game, right? You play in big games, big crowds, a lot on the line. And the only way we're going to face Victory in this final series is in a grand final. So we'll both be edging for that. And if it does happen, look out. So I'll have to get you some tickets.
Mate, I need some. I'll bring the boys. We're going to go forward here in a minute, but we'll bring all the boys that we grew up with. And that's something that is quite unique here, that we've only just met and we grew up around the corner from each other. Let's go back. I want to go, right back. I want to go back to where you grew up. Sunbury boy.
Strip it back. Yeah,
strip it right back. The Northwest, mate.
I'll never forget 3429, mate.
Mate, how good. What a place. I mean, you went to school at Sunbury Secondary, so next door to me and the boys at Salesian College.
All you pretty boys over there, under the bridge.
I'm different. I'm a hybrid model. So I went to EKC, which is a public school.
Okay.
So I'm a bit of a hybrid, but no doubt we're a bit scared to walk under the bridge, mate. For anyone listening,
not as hard as we thought.
The boys from secondary were quite intimidating. How was that growing up? Let's go back a bit further. Primary school.
Yeah.
Did you just play soccer growing up? You played a bit of footy as well, didn't you?
So we went to Kismet. Me, Donnie, and my sister Steph went to Kismet Park, and they had the Oz kick, and you could see my dad being the big Scottish guy. I think, fucking put that egg ball away. He used to call it egg ball. He said, put that away and give us the round ball. But for me, as a young age, me and Donnie just loved soccer. It was in the blood, right? So for us, it was a no-brainer. He didn't even have to introduce it to us. Our sister would come down and sort of help us. She played a little bit of basketball here and there. She was pretty bad at it, to be fair. But
what team? I was a Socceroos.
I think she was a Dodgers.
Dodgers.
Is that green and yellow?
Yeah, we used to hate the Dodgers.
Yeah. So she used to play, but she used to help us out massively down the back. So we lived in Emu Bottom. So we had 2.5 acres, and Dad built this big football pitch sort of with goals and stuff. So we were spoiled, to be honest, football wise. And we got the best of boots. We got everything. So as a young age, we were it was just ingrained in us. And, we'd rock up to school with soccer ball under our arms, and, the Aussie kids would say, oh, look at these wogs. I don't know, obviously half Maltese, so mum was, grew up there, and she came to Australia not knowing any English and stuff. So for me and Donnie to rock up to school and have guys saying oh, why you play that shit game? And it was good because we're going against the grain, and that's probably built off my whole career is going against the grain. And, we look back now and have a good laugh with some of the mates, and, guys like Paul Salberg, who, used to laugh at us with a soccer ball, now comes to every single game of mine and loves it. Good laughs as a kid. And so we went to Kismet and then moved on to Sunbury College. I wasn't there for long though, Sunbury College. I went there year 7, 8, 9 and shot off midway through 9. So in terms of school-wise, mate, I'm not too smart with the books.
Oh, mate, don't worry, either am I. I finished year 12 as well. Paulie Salberg, great man, big shout out. He actually reached out. And
did he?
He was a superstar as a junior. I'm sure he would have been handy with any, he was handy with the football. I'm sure he was pretty good with the round ball as well.
He was, and he was a good lefty, and I think back at our school, we had some older boys, obviously the Blitzarves, they were machines a year above. Cam Guthrie as well. Actually, they were older than us. We didn't really hang out with them, but they were Solberg looked up to them, but I think they respected Solberg because he was so good at footy. Jason Williams, BJ Kilty, I could round off so many names of these boys that, were guns in my eyes because I looked and kicking a footy. I was like, these boys can play footy.
Play with all of them, yeah.
And then I'd go and play school footy, but then I'd go and kick 5 goals and these boys would be saying, fuck, you're actually all right.
Yeah.
And I'd play forward pocket. I wouldn't go any further than that.
But that's the thing. Anyone that can play soccer, they're so crafty around the goals. They don't really know anything, but when the ball's in their area, they know exactly where the sticks are. And everyone goes, you have an unorthodox way of getting it through. Like kicking around corners.
I remember we had a school footy game and the footy ball was on the ground and I actually fucking socked it. But BJ put his hand on the footy, but I booted his hand. We ended up having a go at each other. But I was like, mate, I'll just boot it. I'll just kick it 50 metres. Doesn't matter.
You're off the ground.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So it was good. It was a good laugh. And I think, I still love my footy. Don't get me wrong. I actually, support the Pies and still watch the footy as much as I can. Mrs. doesn't like it, but for me, it's a respect level because when you see those boys, how much they are machines and physically just beasts. And I saw Mark Blitzar as a young kid could run till the cows come home.
He's a machine.
Machine. And the commentators still talk about it. So big respect for the footy boys and still keep in touch with them.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. He is a machine. I've played on him. He's one of the most unique tall men in the game, I reckon, with his endurance.
Yeah.
He's so quick.
He's in the ruck as well.
He plays anywhere. Yeah. He'd be so important to a footy club. Going back to growing up. So you got a twin brother.
I do, yeah, Donnie, yeah. So we he's obviously older than me by like 3 minutes, so it's really nothing. He classes older, whatever. But in terms of like how close we are, we're inseparable. He was a top footballer as well, and he had his injuries and things didn't go his way in life and for football. And if I look back now, if I had someone like him next to me, mate, you'd be talking about probably breaking that record in the A-League right now, and that's just how good he was. And my dad reminds me every now and then that your twin brother was better, and I fully agree. Because he was one of those players that when you just give him the ball, you're in awe because he runs the game. I make the runs and whatever, but when someone has the ball, they just slow things down, and that was Donnie. He's always the little humble kid who'll never say how good he was, but people around him and people that probably knew nothing about the game were very impressed with what he was. And it's unfortunate how things panned out, but I think he lives sort of my dream now, and he's seen me play overseas and come to the World Cup when I went there in Russia. And I think he's equally as proud to be. He's almost kicking the ball with me on the pitch because he's that close to me. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's incredible. I'm actually a twin as well, just on that. So not many people know. So when I found that fact out, I said, oh, how cool is that? Twin sister though, so a bit different. I was going to go into the next part about growing up. So when you said you played with Paulie has a little story for me that he reckons...
I might need a drink of water just in case he's going to stitch me up.
He's going to go back a bit further.
I might need to take the jacket off. He's going to make me sweat.
Ask him what his diet's like, because it can't be as bad as the time we went to a massive game at the time and you said, geez, I'm a bit hungry. I'm just going to go get a quarter pounder meal. Double quarter, yeah. Free game. And they're going, this bloke's kidding himself and you've gone out and kicked a hat-trick.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so we were, I said to Sully, we actually had a house party that night. So it was, I'm trying to remember the name. It might have been Jack Sheehan back in the day. Like, So he had a house then in Gisborne or something.
The massive one with the pool.
So that was, so he had that. And then, so I said, Paul, come watch me play. And then Mum will drive us back and we'll go to the house party. Perfect time. And the game finishes by 9. We'll be there by 9:45. And then he's kind of saying, well, what are you going to eat for pre-match? I said, mate, just tell Mum to drive into the Macca's on Bell Street and I'll grab something. And he was thinking, oh, yeah, probably just a salad or whatever. And I said, Mum, get me a double quarter pounder, chips and throw in a Coke too, right? I was 14 and so I was like, you're not eating that. I said, I'm going to eat this and I'll probably fucking score a goal and I'll burn up and down because I was a right winger at the time. Yeah. For some reason, I was this size at 14. So I was bombing on and just a physical machine for some reason. I don't do that now. People are way past me that now. But so I had that, scored the hat trick, and Solberg after the game was like, mate, what the fuck's this? Okay, how's your diet? I said, mate, I didn't feel a thing. But if I did that now, you know what it's like, mate. You'll be throwing up at half time or quarter time in footy. So it's safe to say I haven't had a burger probably since that night because you kind of get into the elite stages and guys are looking at you saying, mate, you the older you get, you can't be doing that shit.
No, I loved it. Like when he mentioned that, it's classic though. Everyone does it. I used to hear the old myths about boys go out, have a 6-pack of beers, go out, kick 10. It's like, no chance could you do that now.
No way.
But that's funny. And because Paulie, I mean, we're talking a lot about Paulie, be loving this, the great man. He's a very professional man. So obviously he's got his own gym. And what's he doing now? He's got his own business. I'm trying to give it a plug right now.
You haven't seen his statue in Sunbury, mate. He's the king there. You walk down the street and everybody knows him and he knows of him. And look, he's built a very good portfolio for himself and doing really well with his personal training. And I told him one day, mate, we're gonna buy a gym and you're gonna be the head trainer. We're gonna be owners and with grand plans, because he's actually, for what he's built in Sunbury, well respected. I wouldn't be surprised if he's probably got the most clients in Sunbury, just the amount. But he works like a dog, right? So
look at the rig on it. You can just see.
He's a machine, and his weight fluctuates. He was in my bridal party for the wedding. I had to change suits like 3 times because he's going shredding and he's getting bigger. And then, he's one of those boys, and he's had a tough time with footy because he got injured, and but now he's fully focused on getting recovered. And but in terms of his work, man, he works like he's up at texts me at like 4 a.m. in the morning, goes to bed at like 9:30 at night, like. When you work that many hours, you just hope he doesn't burn out, man.
Mate, anyone with PT businesses and anyone that is a PT or in the fitness industry, like mad respect.
Yeah.
I've got a few friends in the industry and you're right. They've got to be there. The classes start at 5 a.m., right? Right. And I'm thinking, how do people make the class, let alone these guys are up at 3:30, 4 a.m. just setting up.
Yeah.
And then they obviously last
to leave. Got to have the enthusiasm too, right? Like energy. To get people pumped up, motivate them.
It's incredible, and it's all for the benefit of someone's, mental health and their physical well-being. It's awesome. So huge shout out to anyone out there that is in that space. Righto. So we've gone through growing up Sunbury. It's as a Riddles Creek boy, I just love that. I love it. I'm trying to search for me fucking notes here, mate. I'm
surprised we didn't punch on in like house parties and stuff, because there was the Sunbury College and there was the Salesian, and the boys would come together and. Touching,
I'm trying to think I'm just surprised I've never really met you. I know everyone around you I don't think I've, as I said.
We're looking back, it's been that long ago. And for me, last time I was in Sunbury College was like 14. So we probably crossed paths before that, but it's, you have that sort of aura as those big jock footy boys that come from Salesian. You just want to get to them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. The old footy boys. It's something we used to get called all the time at school. Just back to growing up, there's a famous story about your backyard.
Yeah.
I want to know a little bit more about it, because apparently it's the reason why you're so good in front of the goals.
Yeah, I think I've touched on it here before. And so one day Dad just said, boys, come down the back. And we were thinking, okay, what's he done here? And so we obviously went down there, and there it is just like Premier League goal with the big post at the back, nets, box net, grass is cut.
Premium.
We're thinking, fucking hell, this is our backyard. Like, this is better than where we're playing at Green Gully. You know what I mean? And this is we can come down here whenever we want. Dad had a bag of balls, and he said, boys, I'll try and say, my mum wasn't too happy, but at the time he said, boys, fuck homework. Threw the bag of balls on the ground and said, that's your homework, right? He says, your mum can say whatever she wants, but I want you up here at 6:30 for dinner, and daylight savings, use it down there till about 9:30, you come back, right? So me and my brother were like, fuck, this is awesome. This is unreal. And, because Donnie had the quality, he could actually ping balls to me and I could take a touch and shoot, and I could do the same vice versa. Donnie wasn't really a goal scorer, but Donnie just had this ability to use both feet and just do things with the ball that only I could dream of, right? So for what my dad's done for me, I don't think in any way, time or money, I can ever repay him. For my parents, not just my dad, but the time that my mum spent driving, and you get emotional because you kind of think the time that they spend, I don't think I physically can't, because I've got my own life now. I'm working hard, training. And they probably never expect, you know what I mean? So for me, it's so grateful for what they've done. And Donnie is too, because he knows that whatever the time that they've put in has actually transpired into how this career's panned out. But Donnie knows that their right intentions was for him as well. And in life, in sport, injuries happen, and but he was definitely on the right path as well. And Dad wanted the best for both of us.
What injury happened to Donnie?
He just had a stress sort of on his back, and when you start to get older, growing pains turns into a stress fracture. And if you start to mess with your back, you're going to start to have spinal issues. And when you're 15, 16 years of age, you don't want to really have to worry about your back when you've got 70 years ahead of you. So he kind of just pulled the trigger and said, I'm going to focus more on trade life. And he's a fantastic, he works at Chevello, Shout out to them because they've looked after him, and he's apprentice of the year a few times. So he's a gun at what he does, and whatever he puts his hands on, he's a magician. So love my brother.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So he sounds like he was the assist king, and then you were the finisher.
Spot on, mate. He was the you could say he was the Kevin De Bruyne of Green Gully at the time.
I love that. And just on your old man, I want to learn a little bit about your old man. It's obviously soccer in the blood. Can we just touch on the old boy?
Yeah, so he was an ex-NSL player. The Maclaren surname has got quite a bit of respect before I even kicked the ball professionally, just purely because of him. He played in the NSL, played over 250 games in this competition here, played in Scotland for Heart to Midlothian, which is the rival of Hibs that I played for, so we'll touch on that a bit later. But so Dad had a very good career, played in America for a bit, and when he came to Australia, played in Canberra and Sunshine George Cross, which is a good Maltese club, which, Mum's pretty happy with that he played for a Maltese club. So, yeah, he's well respected and well known, and it's great to see all the A-League coaches now growing up would have played against Dad or watched him play. So it's nice to sort of carry the baton, and he was a better player than me, but I'm a better goal scorer.
Yeah, that's great. So the old boy's Scottish and Mum's Maltese.
Correct.
That's brilliant. That's the key to success for a magical striker. Mate, now I really want to dive into, like, if I was a kid growing up in Sunbury, right? How do you spoke about how good you were in the backyard, and I can imagine school would have been tough, not only because you wanted to play at the highest league, but let's go through it. So junior footy, junior soccer, you're really young. Where were you playing?
Yeah, so we started, so it was hard as parents because Dad didn't really want to coach us at a really young age. He would just do intimate stuff at home. But so from about 4 till, for me, it was about 9 or 10, and we were at Sunbury United, just learning the basics, and when it's at that age, it's not really so competitive, but they got a point where Sunbury United, we'd go to Gisborne and play Gisborne, and me and Donnie would score 5 each. And my dad's like, mate, you're taking the piss. Like, well, I need to move yous. And then so Dad moved me first and put me at Green Gully, but I played above my age, and man, I wouldn't score. Well, I'd go 3 games without a goal, and I'd get battered by kids and elbowed and just get destroyed. And I'd drive home with my dad, say, mate, what am I doing? Get me back to Sunbury. Like, I love scoring goals. And he said, trust me, for the greater good, just be patient, because the more you play with bigger kids, you start to use your body more. You'll get better. You won't see it now, but in long term, you'll see it better. And he was fucking spot on, because if I had gone back to Sunbury, I would have gone back into my comfort zone and then thinking, I'm the big dog in Sunbury, or I'm the big dog in sort of that region. But when I came to Green Gully and Essendon areas, and you start playing in these West teams, Sunshine,
some big boys, I would have thought.
I was a nobody. I was like, they were thinking, who's this fucking... Because at the time, Sunbury was country, yeah? So country was, people like, who's this country boy? And you had to earn their respect. And it's true, because... And then Donnie joined us at Sunbury, and then Dad became our coach at under 13s. And then we just literally took the piss for 3 years in terms of Super League. We had the best team. We had boys from Vic Country, Vic Metro, all wanted to join just to play under my dad. So we had this sort of dream team, and I was the right wing back, or right winger, so to speak, and just started scoring more goals and wanted to move up front. But we had a good striker in Evan Batsis, who actually owns a restaurant down the road called Anchor. So he's all the guys we play with now I still keep in touch with, and such a good team. And like I said, your mate Jakey, well, my mate Jakey too, but he had a little stint with us as well, and we won a few trophies.
I was going to go into Jakey. Let's just go straight into it now, because I need to ask. I'm going to go back to a sec. So obviously we just found out what your old man made you do, which is fantastic. Let's go to Jake. Everyone here at the Aces platform, we love Jakey, and no one really knows. I should do a podcast with Jake. No one really knows how good he really was at soccer. Now, can you just give me a bit of context to Jake? What was he like as a player growing up? Because I know his career ended with injury, unfortunately, but what was he actually like?
To put it shortly, he was the man. Like, he was our age, but for some reason, you just when he walked in the dressing room, or you just saw him on the pitch, he just oozed elegance, and you kind of think, man, this guy's so good. Like, you want to get to that level, but actually, we probably were on his level, because he just stood out on the pitch, and with his dreadlocks, or he had like the afro, and he just really stood out. His parents made sure he always had the best Adidas Predators, and he was a show pony, right? So I'll give him that, but he backed it up. Oh man, did he back it up? He was a top captain, So I was the captain of Green Gully, and he was the captain of his team on the Southeast. But when we came together and played for Victoria, I was like, mate, the armband's yours. You're the man. So that was Jake to a T as a young kid. And as we got older, I went overseas and Jakey started to get his debut at Gold Coast and start to really forge a career playing against men. And if he hadn't have had these injuries, mate, he'd probably be the Socceroos captain, or he'd be there playing for the Socceroos without a doubt, because he had that ability that not many Australian players have had in the past, and in my age group anyway. So great man and a great person with a great family, but a really, really top player who probably deserved more out of his career than what he actually was given back.
Yeah, I'm so flat he's not. He's such a good person is the way I would put it down. I've loved enjoying our friendship so far. And I don't know a lot about Jake's footy career. Obviously, it ended with injury. Now, he hasn't given me any context to this.
Do I need another water bottle?
Yeah, I think, no, this is more about Jake, so this will be fine. But, mate, he just said it's pretty funny because I can guess that there's something really good that's happened here on behalf of Jake. He goes, ask the great man about the famous Manchester United Cup final game and just see what he says.
Oh, to be honest, it's still the crossbar's probably still shattering. We played them in this cup, and back then Jake was a bit of when he got a bit older, he was a bit of a nomad. So he would almost get poached by these clubs, and we did it too. So we were but he went to Altona Magic, and they were one of our rivals in the West. But we were like, fuck, what's this guy from the Southeast coming over to the West to try and fuck us, yeah? So he ended up playing for them, and so this Man United Cup was if you win that, then you play the best teams in Australia, and you go actually to, I think it was to Manchester, and play against, Liverpool's, Man United's, the academies at that age. So we thought at Gully we were untouchable, like no one could get near us. But for some reason that night, it was Darabin Sports, and he tore us to shreds. And part of me as a young kid got a bit bitter with him, but it was because we were both winners, and I could see the way that he really wanted to go. He was a big Man United fan as well. So it meant a lot, probably more to him than me. And probably one of those memories that really sticks out at Green Gully. And he's the sort of guy you want on your team, not against you.
Yeah, spot on. So they won and then went over and played Man United.
I don't think they didn't get past, I think Marconi Stallions, which is in Sydney. So I don't think they got past them, but they still had the opportunity, because I think that on a one-off game, Altona beat us, but if it had been over a consistent amount of period, we would have gone to Marconi and probably beat Marconi and gone, because
that's incredible.
Our team was really good. And it wasn't even just because of myself. It was the guys we had around us. We had our whole back four was play for Victoria. Then we had Vic Country in midfield, and our left wing back was the captain of Vic Country, striker for Victoria. So we had a lot of good players all around the pitch, and Altona only had Jake and a few other boys who were good players, but in terms of our squad, we were much better. And thanks for bringing that up, Jake, because that's still, I haven't talked about that for a long time.
There it is. I knew there was something on there. I want to know a little bit more about Jake before I ask you a few more questions about your juniors. But what kind of position did he play, and describe his skills?
He was a centre mid.
Right.
But he had the passing range of a quarterback. So he would be so elegant. So a bit similar to my brother, where when they have the ball, they almost have 5 seconds more than everybody else. It's either because they've got the respect of the kids to say, well, I don't want to touch him.
Scotty Pendlebury.
I don't want to touch. Yeah, I don't want to touch him, or they just somehow just find space, and it looks like they're taking the piss. Looks like they're easy. Looks like what they're going through is not even a breeze. And that was the sort of player that he was. And you'd give him a free kick on the edge of the box. We had a few arguments here and there because I believed I could take him, but I'm no good outside the box. So he used to have to take the corners, and his technique. His technique was second to none in terms of our age group, and probably guys above us, would respect him in that era as well.
It's funny you just said that. So I don't know how this would work in a game. Free kick, penalty, right? So obviously you've already got a decision made from the head coach pre-game. You'll take these, or is it out in the pitch?
I think nowadays, well, I'm not sure what it's like, but especially at our club or clubs I've been a part of, and it's more the player who's the most confident. So for myself at Melbourne City, I take the penalties because no one would say there's anyone more confident in front of goal from 12 yards than me. But outside the box, it's a tough thing to do. Get it around the wall, get it over a wall, past a goalkeeper. So it's about the player who believes they can do it. And to take corners, you need to have great technique. Not every player can just step up and take a corner, bend it in, and get someone on the head. How I scored the other night. So it's about having those people that believe in themselves. But penalties are probably all about clutch players who are willing to be the hero, but at the same time willing to be the villain just in case you miss. And I've missed my fair share.
You are clutch, and that's something that he said. Stir him up about this. He's famously known for not touching the ball all game, but he always scores the winners and gets the headlines. Is that true?
Oh, I've got the title of probably Fox in the Box or fucking. You hear the commentator, and there's probably a commentator's curse. Some commentators will say, fucking hell, is Jamie Maclaren playing? And then bang, before he says it, 30 seconds later, I'll get a tap in. And I say, I've got to stay in the game. I'm alert. I make sure I feed off mistakes. And that's kind of, so every player is different. Everyone brings their own sort of armory to games and ammunition. And that's one of the things I take off. I believe that, the other night, for example, I said to Andy Naboo, mate, you go to the front post, I'll go to the back post. And I normally go to the front, but I just somehow something told me inside my body, just go to the back and tell Andy to go to the front. He went to the front, he flicked it on, and I got a tap in from 2 yards. So for me, I can't train that. I think I've just had that ingrained in me, and over the time, my dad's built the quality into me, and he must have saw something that other people have seen, and goals are speaking for themselves. Yeah.
It's instincts. It's funny you say, my old man used to say the same thing in footy. He goes, mate, go to because everyone just stands, and this is for any junior footballer out there, this is a good tip. They always stand in the goal square, right? Yeah. And this is an AFL. But they always stand in the goal square. Everyone thinks, it's going to fall short. It never falls short. It goes through the sticks or it goes long to the front.
And your footy ball can bounce either way, right?
Yeah.
So you've almost got to take a gamble. So you take a gamble, and if it pays off, happy days. But if it doesn't,
it never does anyway. So it's rather it pays off or it's just going to go through the sticks. But in footy, like I used to always say, you go stand on that back point post.
Yeah.
Because if they shank it, no one's standing there. And you get a good run and jump. And it was actually a really good tip. And it's funny that you said that the other night that you went back post, because rarely would they miss, short.
You have to take risks in this game, and I think that's the minute I felt it, because the referee gave a corner, and I said, look, you've only got 10 seconds to make a decision. What do you want to do? So I said, mate, you go to the front, I'll go to the back, and that's something that's just ingrained. It's that instinct feeling. Maybe it's half of belief too, right? So I just probably thought, I'm going to score tonight. So that's probably majority of my goals are just built off instinct and
it's experience.
Yeah, you could say that. And I'm almost, as you get older, you kind of realize that these things do happen. They happen for a reason, because you work hard. So majority of my game is built on working hard, and you get rewarded.
100%. That's awesome. It's great. And just back onto the penalties. You said you're the most confident. There's a reason why you're confident. We talk about action-built confidence. You've done it for a long time. Do you practice your penalties flat out at training? Give me little skills that you would do after training. So we all have the team training and all that kind of stuff. What are you doing individually?
Penalties are probably all about, in my instance anyway, it's all about breathing. So before you take it, you breathe for 5 seconds, you breathe out, and you just say, listen, now you're like calm. You can't hear anything. I've scored a penalty in front of 50,000, but I couldn't hear a thing. So I'm just so zoned. And the day before the game, I always take a few penalties in the direction where I'm going to go. So that's my little secret. So it's probably not a secret now, but the day before, I always take a penalty where I'm going to go. So my teammates probably know where I'm going to go, but if I hit it correctly and the keeper saves it, mate, I hold my hand up and say, fuck, what a save. You clap and you say, what a save. But if it goes in, I've trained my mind to know that, you know what, you did it yesterday. Don't worry, just put your head down, foot through the ball, composure, and put it in. So for me, the best penalty I could say, like I said, I've scored in front of 50,000 at Ibrox, which...
I've seen the video. I watched it last night. Let's talk about that.
So, I just joined that club on loan from Germany. So I was really a nobody to that squad, and the penalty was awarded, and I said to John McGinn, my good mate, who now plays at Aston Villa and played in the Premier League, he's a fantastic player, and he had the ball under his arm, and I said, John, I've only known you a week. Just give me the ball. For some reason, I just feel this is going in. And he was like, mate, fucking ball's yours. Because at the time, it was 1-1.
And the crowd, it's their home game.
Home game. So you've got 50,000 against you, throwing shit at you. Not spitting at you, but throwing beers at you. And
coins and everything.
Coins. You lot. It's the most hostile place I've ever been to, but it's at the same time the most play. I love it. I couldn't imagine what it's like playing for them, let alone playing against them. So I literally just put the ball down and said, you know what, just put your foot through it. If he saves it, you'll be the villain. But if you do score, you've got 1,000 Hibs fans over there who will love you till you won't pay for another beer in Edinburgh ever again. So laces through it, keeper got a little nick to it, roof of the net, bang, celebrate, knee slide, and probably wouldn't say luckiest goal, but probably the best feeling I've ever had when I've scored a goal, purely just because I knew the risks, but I didn't give a fuck. I said, you know what, the reward outweighs what's going to happen if I do miss. And it did. I haven't probably, if I go back to Edinburgh now, I probably still won't pay for a drink. That's how good it was.
There was a few people that messaged and said, tell them to come back to the Hibs. I'll be honest. So, mate, it's incredible. And I love that you took the chance. And it's funny that he goes, yeah, you can have it, because he's probably going, I don't want it.
He didn't want it, but you look at him now and he's probably one of Scotland's best players. And, I'm a big Villa fan. He plays for Aston Villa and he's probably their best player at this point in time. So to see where he's kicked on and done his career, and, it's a pleasure to see. And I'd only known him like a week, and he was incredible. Like, this Aussie cunt wants to take a fucking penalty. Does he even know does he know what he's signing up for?
Yeah.
And I said, mate, just bring it on. I'm ready. So that was because I had a shit period in Germany where I was deployed as a midfielder and didn't really get a chance to play in front of goal and try and score goals. So at that point, I was like, fuck, mate, I'm at rock bottom.
You're craving a goal.
Mate, I'm at rock bottom right now. I literally, I'll buy a goal. It doesn't matter how much it's going to cost. I'll buy a goal. So I literally thought, you know what? I can't lose in this position. So head down, roof the net. Thanks for coming.
And he nearly saved it, didn't he?
Yeah.
So did you make this decision, I'm going...
Straight down the middle.
Straight middle.
Yeah, straight down the middle. Because I think 9 times out of 10, keepers, if they stand up and it goes to the side, they look like idiots. But that's just a keeper's mentality, because they think, you have to dive. It's out of respect to your teammates. You got to try and save a ball. So I knew he was going to dive either way. So I just said, if I can just lift it a little bit, because their feet's really low. So if it does snick him, it'll still go into the goal. So that's all I was thinking. I was like, you know what, just lift the ball a little bit. Even if it's 1 or 2 yards, it's a goal.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And for anyone watching, listening, go on YouTube and type that in. It's the atmosphere when you kicked it. It was crazy. Obviously, they were filthy. They were going wild. You guys were all celebrating.
And majority of people probably won't know, but, Catholic and Protestant and stuff in Scotland, you got Celtic Rangers and you got Hibs and Hearts, and they're the green and white is the Catholic, and the Protestants are Rangers and Hearts. So they immediately, before you even kick a ball, for some reason they hate you. It doesn't matter. They just hate you. So they don't have to justify it. They just fucking hate you. I was saying to a couple of people, and it's probably well documented that I went to a bar in Edinburgh with my wife and went to order a beer, and the guy said, "Mate, go fuck yourself." He was a bartender. He worked there. I said, "All right." So my wife, she wasn't happy. She was like, "Nah, fuck off it. You got a service." And he said, "Mate, go fuck yourself. I'm not serving you." So then another guy came around and said, "Sorry guys, he's a big Hearts fan."
Wow, they're that passionate.
They are. And you know what? She probably got a bit offended by it, but I was like, you know what? I like that. Surprised me, because I've come from the A-League or Germany and stuff like that. But my dad warned me. He said, "Mate, just know what you're signing up for. Over there, it's bigger than football."
That's unbelievable. What about the other way, when you go to a bar or a restaurant, they just get it right around you?
You go to pay, and there's the bar guy, the waitress says, "Oh no, that guy over there in the black hoodie, he's paid for you."
That's incredible.
And you're like, "Thanks, mate." And it's kind of like, that guy over there, he's paid for you, and this guy wants to shout you this, and they want to buy you that, and love the Hibs fans. If all the Hibs fans are listening, obviously really great time I spent there, and we bought a house in Edinburgh, so we'll obviously at some point try and go back. And my dad's from there, so I'm always going to be close to home. And my dog Simba, that was his first home. We bought him over in the UK, and we've always got great ties to Edinburgh, and I'll be a Hibbie for life.
Yeah, it's brilliant, mate. They'd love that, and they'll be listening, no doubt. Now, I've got a couple of questions about the junior pathway. I found out that you made Vic squads, but you also were cut from Vic squads. Is that correct?
It is. Yeah, I was 12, and like I said, I came from Sunbury thinking I was probably better than what I was. Bit of reality check. Came to Green Gully, mate. You're nowhere near it. And then you get trial for Vic, and then you kind of make the stages, because it's all about opinions. So I was always the sort of guy that if one coach doesn't like me, fuck, okay, it's just your opinion, mate, whatever. But some people would take one opinion as, oh my God, the world's going to end. And I always had that opinion. If you don't rate me, fuck yeah, I'll impress the next guy. Or I always felt like my work rate would get me by. And when I got cut, even my dad was surprised, but he said, "Mate, use it as fire. Use it next year when you go back. Look the guy in the eye, the fucking coach, and say, mate, I'll prove you wrong now." And after that, that's probably the best thing that probably ever happened to me, was actually getting told, "Mate, sorry, mate, you're not good enough." Yeah. And then I kind of thought, so I go to Green Gully, I'm fucking nowhere near it there. I'm playing against older boys. I was in a dark place in terms of, like, as a young kid, I didn't enjoy football because I was like, I'm not a star. But as I started to get older, I was like, you know what, that was done for a reason. And everyone's got their journey, but this probably set me up for knowing that failures are going to come. It's about how you adapt and how you move on.
And how you face that adversity.
Yeah,
and
100%.
And getting it that young would have been such a good stress test, wouldn't it?
I think it was. And really, you know, trying to remember his name. I think his name was Harry, was the coach. And probably got to give him a little thank you because, one, I've proved him wrong. But two, he you know, gave me that inner fire in the belly to actually go, you know what, I'm not good enough. And now it's time for me to work. And at that time I had the backyard and I had all the tools, right? So my dad, he gave me everything. Dad said, mate, fuck, what else do you want? You know, so I just had to, just ride with it and go back to Green Gully and show them that, you know, I'm worthy of a spot at Green Gully, let alone playing for your state.
And then you, and then another important, you know, even in all junior sport is AIS, and you missed out there as well.
Yeah.
What was that like and how old were you there?
For some reason, I took it personally. I don't know. So we were 13 going on to 14 and they'd just been taken over, the FFA, by these Dutch coaches that have come over and implemented a new system and 4-3-3 and looked over the AIS and Joey's and stuff like that. And you always kind of think, okay, AIS that's the next step. You leave home at such a young age. And I'd told people grand plans when I was at Sunbury College, like, yeah, mate, I'm not going to be here next year, boys. I'm going AIS. I don't know where you're going. But so I built myself up thinking, yeah, I've got these things in line. And so I went there and scored 4 goals in 5 games, got injured, had like a bursa behind my knee. So I was couldn't walk. And I remember coming off the pitch and I could see the Dutch coaches up there. And I mean, Dutchies don't look impressed when they probably thought, oh, these Aussie players are shit compared to the Dutch players. But I could just sense something that they weren't probably looking at me for some reason, or they didn't even try and speak to me and say like, oh, you know, how's your injury? You know, which we obviously come to scout you. And then I got a phone call and they said, AIS aren't selecting you. And I was like, surely not. Like, what else can I do? 4 goals in 5 games. I was playing out wide as for a winger. That's a good return. I felt like I had a pretty good tournament. And then they said, no, you're not being selected. So I took it, was like, fucking hell, man. Like I felt like the world was against me. First the Vic squads, then it was Green Gully, you know, playing above my age, and then it was this. And I had a lot of people saying no. And I was like, but I'm working hard. Where's my reward? And didn't happen. And Jakey obviously went. He deserved it full well. And you know, it just showed that AIS wasn't everything, because I then ended up having an opportunity to head to England. And if I had gone to the AIS, mate, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. That's the brutal truth. Is the way the AIS was, say, 20 years ago was different to how it was run maybe 10 years ago. So the amount of players that they produced throughout the years, the golden generation of good Socceroos, and even they did produce good players at AIS, but sometimes it's a blessing in disguise that I didn't get picked, because, again, it probably drove me, but it led me to overseas. So if someone said to me, Jamie, in 5 years' time, when I was 10, 5 years' time, you're going to be at a Premier League club academy, or you're going to be at the AIS, what do you want to do? Mate, I would have fucking said, take me to the Premier League club without a doubt. And that's what ended up happening. So when I started getting on that plane to go on trial to Blackburn, that's when I knew, you know what, I'm not fucking this up. Like, they might not rate me in Australia or fucking the Dutchies, but I'm going to go there and book a one-way ticket because I ain't coming back.
It's incredible. And this is a question from a mate, Park. Do you know Brendan Parkinson from Sunbury?
Heard the name, yeah.
Yeah, he's a Sunbury boy. He's a good fella. I think there's a big shout out for the question, mate. He loves Sunbury and he knows your journey. He wants to know, and I want to know as well. I want to understand how a young player from Sunbury can be recruited by Blackburn Rovers. We just touched on all the rejection and the no. Yeah. You just said you booked a one-way ticket. How does that happen? Like, did they scout you?
Yeah. So we had a tournament in France, and Paul Pogba was playing for France and guys like that. Yeah. So we were all like, we were 15, and so we played against France, Mali, and Germany, and I had quite good games. I scored against Mali, chipped the goalkeeper, and my dad came over, and then we had a guy who had good links to Celtic and Blackburn, and my dad's brother, who at the time had very good links with Aston Villa. So I had trials lined up, and my dad's kind of held them off because he said, Jamie, I don't think he's ready yet. But when he saw me score against these nations, he said, you know what? He's ready. So send him over. And so I had Celtic, Blackburn, Aston Villa, and Derby County lined up, but Blackburn was first. So flew over to Blackburn, had some trial games, had one game against Derby, scored 2, then played against Man United under 15, scored a hat-trick. So I was a trialist. So I was playing against boys who were probably contracted. Well, they were contracted. Yeah. Scored a hat-trick, and these were like league games, Saturday morning, fucking 7 a.m, like, because you're a young kid, you want to aspire to play for the academy and whatever. So Then I got pulled into the office by Phil Cannon, who was the director at Blackburn, and he said, I know your uncle well, Ross Maclaren, but he's told me that you've got trials at Celtic and Aston Villa next week. We want to let you know now that there's an offer on the table for us to stay for 3 years, and we want you to do your apprenticeship here and learn what it takes to be a professional footballer and give you the environment. We'll put you up in a house. Or do you want to go to take the risk and go to Aston? Because if you go to Aston Villa and Celtic, the offer's off the table.
Right.
So it was kind of like, man, there's something in concrete. So I said, look, can I just have, my dad was back here in Sunbury, and I said, let me just call my dad, because he was Messiah to me. Like everything he said was fuck. If he said that was black, it was black. Like it was everything he said, I just had to believe. So called him up and I said, mate, Blackburn have offered me a deal. Like I'm staying here. What should I do? Should I go to Villa? And I'm a big Villa fan. Like that was hard for me. Like,
yeah, I can imagine.
To be able to wear the claret and blue and be a Villa fan, see the boy like Ashley Young, John Carew, like those guys were idols. Just to see them in the flesh. I would only be 15, but you still see them around the building. And Blackburn at the time was sitting 6th in the Premier League. Big club, big club at the time. They've won the Premier League back in 95, 96. And he said, mate, you'd be silly to knock this back right now. But it's your career, mate. And you're old enough now. My hands are clean. It's up to you. And my mum and brother and Steph, they flew back to Australia without me.
Yeah, that's
as simple as that. Literally as simple as that. I had one suitcase and I didn't see them from August till I landed in Christmas Eve.
Wow. So
back to Australia.
Signed the deal at 15 and didn't even say goodbye to my schoolmates. And I probably stitched up one of the girls I was taking to prom, or the Deb, whatever you call it. Yeah.
So I think it might have been Julia. So I'd left. I had to leave. Like I wasn't coming back. So the school was calling my dad saying, where's Jamie? Like he's missed his history class. Dad's like, mate, he's not coming back.
He's been doing his grandma.
He's got his British passport. He's living in the UK now. Like I think we had to go through, my parents would have had to go through quite a bit of issues to get me out of, I don't know whether it was government or what, just to get me out of school at such a young age. But my dad was saying, like he said, that's your fucking homework. So he fully believed, and he knew that the path that I was on, that you don't pass up an opportunity like this.
No.
You don't. It's for an Aussie kid. And we had our hurdles because FFA at the time, and it's got nothing to do with FFA right now, but they, in a way, didn't want Aussie players to leave Australia. So they tried to, in a way, fuck me and try and stop me from playing, because they didn't want you to go. If you were under 18 and you tried to go overseas, you couldn't play.
Did they disagree with the whole education comes first? Like
not education. They just said, well, why would we let an Aussie go to Australia?
They wanted to stay in their
They wanted me to stay in Australia. But I was like, where am I going to stay? At Melbourne Victory Youth?
Yeah.
Would you rather, am I going to learn more at Melbourne Victory Youth, or is he going to learn more seeing what it's like to be at the highest level possible? He might not make it there, but at least he can see it week on week. He watches Premier League games on the Saturday morning. I was ball boy at Blackburn. So you learn things. So I was like, mate, and the FFA, we ended up coming to an agreement, and Dad, look, I don't have to go into it because it'll probably get us in some trouble, but Dad had to go into some really deep stuff to get me out and get me approved, and it happened, and I was playing for Blackburn within probably a month.
There you go. That's how you do it. That's just incredible. So now we're 15 years old. You're at Blackburn. You're you're in their little junior program. What do you call it again? The academy.
Yeah.
The academy players, are you doing everything that the senior players are doing? How does it work?
You are. So you're training full time. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday you'd have school. So like you'd go to a college just down the road, and you do you take the piss because what are you going to learn? You're soccer players.
Yeah, you tick the box.
Yeah, you probably draw on the paper or whatever. Draw dicks on the paper. I don't know. But then you got Thursday, Friday you train, and then they would love gym. So back then, I'm telling you now, I was probably 77 kilos. I'm 72 now, but mate, I could bench 110 without a doubt. But they just turned me into but I couldn't run. So I was kind of losing that pace that I had at Green Gully and Victorian Institute of Sport. I lost that pace, that yard, because they just wanted to build me up to handle. Because some of the guys I was coming up against, like Phil Jones plays at Man United now. He was in the academy at the 18s. So when I would sometimes train from the 16s to the 18s, man, he would flick me. I would fall over because they're just such. So I had to improve physically. But yeah, for me, it was full-time training, Saturday morning, whether you're playing Liverpool at home, you play Liverpool away, you get on the team bus, you have your little Jaffa cakes, and you honestly felt like, I used to because you could only Skype back then. So I used to Skype my family on the Sunday morning and said, fuck, I just played Liverpool. Like Raheem Sterling was playing, like all these boys were playing. Brad Smith, who's my mate now, he's played with Socceroos. But it's, these guys that have gone and kicked on in the Premier League. But it's like when you're 16, 17, you're their age group. So you're playing against them on fresh cut grass, beautiful like training grounds. Like for me, I can't explain it enough that turned me into almost the inner beast, but what it takes to be a professional. Because I was 16, but nowhere near the first team. But I felt like I was looked after so well compared to what happens in Australia.
Man, I love the way you're telling these stories. I'm visualizing it all and, being a part of being a part of the club and around all these people and jacking up straight on the program at 16 years old. Like I convert it back to AFL, these academy players, they're probably 17, maybe 18, like they're 16 and 15. You're so young.
So young, mate. Like I look back now and I look, obviously you got some academy players at Melbourne City that are 16 and I'm like, man, I was your age when I left. And you kind of think back and you kind of give yourself a little bit of a pat on the back. You're thinking, fuck, you did all right there, mate. Like there was times, look, mate, it's like anything. There was times where I'd sit with a room, 4 walls, parents are asleep, time difference, and you'd cry because you'd be like, fuck, what am I doing, man? Like, what am I doing here? Like I'm missing everything. I can't even go out because my academy boys who are a bit older, they're going out because they're 18. I'm like, what am I having my Lucasade on a Saturday night? So I'm like, so me and a couple of the foreign boys would just sit and have like, watch match of the day and stuff like that, order pizzas and just kind of, miss our families and talk about our experiences. But there was probably a good amount of time where it was really dark, but not that I would ever admit it to my mum and stuff like that. But there was times where I was like, looking online, Skyscanner, like, mate, I'll be on the next flight home. But I'm so glad that I just stuck at it because the next morning I'd rock up to training because we lived on the training sort of complex. It was an unbelievable house.
So they put you up in a house?
Yeah, so they had all the foreign boys. So we had Irish lads, Swedish guys, an Austrian lad. So we all got along. We still keep in touch now. It's actually really cool.
And you're all in one house?
So the complex is like, trying to imagine the complex. So if you've been down to Casey Fields, for example, like there's so many footy fields, but like just imagine there's 13 soccer pitches and the big building where they've got indoor pitch, they've got the restaurant, that's where all the first team boys go, and the academy lads can only pop in when the first team aren't around, and you got to respect them because they're the ones that are keeping the club alive. So the house was on site, so we had a bit of security and whatever, and but like I said, when I had dark nights, when I would wake up, I would go to the pitch and I would just be like, fuck, this is a dream, man.
Yeah.
Like, I got friends who are going, even my brother, my brother and stuff, my sister, they're going to school at 9 a.m, but I'm smelling fresh cut grass in the UK, got my gloves on, thinking I'm the man, I'm actually like, this is pretty good. But when winter came around and it gets dark at 4 p.m, that's when you start to like think, fuck, like, I do miss my family. And, but like I said, it makes you thin, your skin get a lot thicker. And, over the years, it turned me from a boy to a man.
Yeah. You'd learn quickly.
Oh yeah, you do.
You would have learned how to
just
cook.
little things like open bank accounts and having to like know what your BSB number is and just shit like that. Like, I wouldn't have a clue. Like taxes. Fuck, I didn't know what taxes were. I was learning I was failing maths at Sunbury College to learn algebra and all this sort of X, Y, Z. Yeah, I didn't know all that. But then I come to 6 months later, I'm getting paid into an English bank account of you paying tax. Where's that money going? You got your pension, and I'm like, fucking hell, why didn't I learn about all this?
Did you have a manager at the time?
I did, but when you're sort of a minor, I kind of still lent on my dad a bit. Yep. He'd obviously lived in the UK for quite a bit and he grew up there, so he did help me quite a bit. And you do have a lot of support at those clubs. Like they're well-funded clubs that make sure that the kids are looked after and everything you want, everything you need, whether it's boots, beanies, like jackets, like you got looked after. So in terms of that, I was fine, and I had good people around me that made me obviously want to stay for the 4 years that I ended up staying.
Yeah, it's mate, I'm just visualizing it all. It's so cool. And the boys that you live with, you obviously had great relationships now with them. Are they all gone on and kicked on, or what are they all doing?
Still do. Grant Hanley, who's now the Norwich captain, plays in the Premier League week in, week out, and Phil Jones was a local lad, so Phil stayed at home with his family, but he was a player that played for Blackburn's academy, got seen, played against Drogba on the weekend, then Man United signed him. So his rise was unbelievable, but it was great to see like in the flesh. Yeah. Because you play with him one week in the reserves, and then the next week he's marking Didier Drogba, bullying him. Because Jones is a big boy. Yeah. And then the next week everyone's talking about, Man United might buy him for like 18 million or something, and he got bought.
So, mate, that's crazy.
It's mental. And you can see not just, I wouldn't say luck, but how timing can just happen. Like within the space of a month, he went from an academy player to basically nearly England international with Man United because they signed him in on a pre-contract and Blackburn had agreed the fee because he was a machine and he earned it. He earned that move. Like when he played for Blackburn, he was an animal. Like for some reason, he was just...
Fullback, was he?
He was a centre-back.
Centre-back.
Like big 6'4" unit, threw himself at everything, like challenged, wouldn't care if he broke his nose in a challenge or threw himself at the ball. Like he was just a physical beast, whether it was the 18s or playing against men. And you're marking the best striker in the world and you literally got him in your back pocket.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, I was the ball boy that day and I was like, fuck, man, he's actually like taking the piss out of Drogba. And Drogba was at the peak of his powers.
Drogba is, growing up, as I said to you, we were talking about FIFA before, how the EA have just parted ways. I was a big FIFA player. Didier Drogba is as big as the name as I know.
Yeah, huge. And that's a credit to him. And he's gone on to Man United. And Man United fans will say, oh, Jonesy's not kicked on as much as they probably thought. But having actually seen him in the flesh at such a young age was, how many times do you get to sign for Man United? Like it's a credit to him, and he's had a fantastic career.
Tell me about the ball boy thing. This is cool. Yeah. I didn't know this. So what they make you guys do you become ball boys.
Basically, like when you're under 18s, if you don't have a game sort of until the following day or whatever, or that morning. So we'd play on Saturday at 9 a.m. The first team play at 3 p.m. So you play the game, you're a bit buzzing if you win the game or whatever, and you can get back in time. Because if you play Liverpool or Man United, by the time you get back, it's too hard to get to the game. But every home game that we played for the academy, they would make sure that we were the ball boys. So we'd rock up in a team bus, almost thinking they were big dogs to the stadium. And we're the ones that have to sit around on these little stools around the pitch. And, you just see the fans, you hear the fans. Best seats in the house. Like I remember, so after the game, so Blackburn played Aston Villa and I somehow, through some family connections, I spoke to Ashley Young by text. So we text each other and I said, listen, like I'm a massive Villa fan. I love you to death. You obviously know my cousin Liam. Do you mind if I have your jersey after the game? So full time went, and I literally I remember it like it was yesterday. So the whistle went for full time, and I'm thinking, oh, he's probably forgotten. Fuck, like I'm not going to get the jersey. He's taken his jerseys off, and he's looking around the pitch. This is Ashley Young, like England international, looking around the pitch, looking for me. And I ran on the pitch. I said, fuck this, I'm going, because he's looking for me. Ran on the pitch. He gave me a handshake, gave me the jersey and said, mate, look after yourself. And that for me, like all the boys, I walked back off and all the lads around me like, how do you know Ashley Young? I was like, boys, I don't. But he's a good family friend and of one of my cousins. And we managed to tee it up. So that was big for me to actually have that moment. And what a player, because he was one of my probably idols at that time.
I was going to ask you that later. Who's someone you looked up to? Was he one of the guys that you looked up to?
But he was like a winger. But as I got to Blackburn saw me as a number 9. So I think Blackburn were the ones that actually converted me to a striker, because I'd go to England and when I say I couldn't dribble like some of these lads overseas. And these boys would take the piss. Like when I say dribble, like Raheem Sterling dribble, like would go past players with ease, and I'd look at them like, mate, I can't do that. I don't think I'm going to play in this team because I can't do that. So they saw my goal scoring ability and shooting drills, and they thought, mate, you can score goals. We'll put you up there. So, and I was quite big, so I could be a bit of a presence up there, and I made runs in behind once I started to shred that sort of fucking 110 bench press weight that they wanted to get me on. Yeah. But so they put me up front, and I just scored goals for the academy, won the Golden Boot a few years in the Blackburns academy, and I just always wanted to become a player that would get rewarded for your hard work, because I wasn't the most talented. I saw that with my own brother. I saw it I didn't need anyone to tell me. I just saw it firsthand, that what I can do with the ball compared to what my brother can do with the same blood, but it's chalk and cheese. You're talking about fucking red wine and white wine, and two different things. Yeah. It was a credit to obviously him. He worked on it, but I was in awe of some of these players, and Blackburn just said, mate, you're a striker. We're not going to even bother about putting you on the wing.
It's funny. So, like, your size compared to a Didier Drogba, he's a striker as well.
Yeah. So you get different. Yeah. You get small forwards in footy. You get big forwards or whatever. But Drogba was probably the mid range. He was probably like 6'2" maybe, and maybe like 85, 90 kilos and just proper solid. But I'm more of a small forward like Michael Owen or maybe Aguero. Aguero's got big legs, so he was more powerful. But I'd say probably my body shape would. Michael Owen was a player I looked up to as a young kid, when he was at Real Madrid, Newcastle, Liverpool, like just a small forward that would be a pest, make runs in behind, sniff a goal. and you work with what you got. Like you're not going to grow any bigger. You're not going to get any taller. You can get a little bit bigger, but you work with what you got, and they're your strengths. And I kind of modelled my game off Michael Owen.
It's so cool, man. So like when you were there the whole time, you were there for 4 years?
Yep.
And so that means you would have been 15 to 19?
Correct.
What was it like when you started turning 18? Did you start to go, like, did you go out and, have a drink? But what was the lifestyle like?
I think we probably, because when you start to get a bit older at 18, and I was 18, but I was outgrowing the academy just maybe because of quality or whatever. And I started training with the first team a lot more. And they had this thing where it's a development squad. So from 18 to 23, you've got maybe 12 professionals that are there or thereabouts. And if the first team needs you on a training session, they'll use you and all that. So I fell into that category at 18, and you'd go out, but I mean, the first team would play on a Saturday night, and then the reserves wouldn't play till Tuesday night. So you actually can afford yourself to go out on the Saturday night. Not that we did it a lot, but when you did, you either went out and you'd say to the younger lads, listen, mate, you can't come because you're still got the academy games tomorrow or Sunday mornings. And, you kind of do what the older boys did to me at that time and say, mate, just stay, be patient, you'll get your time. But I wouldn't say I was a loose cannon or anything like that. I just enjoyed it and saw the experiences that England had. And, when my granddad could come watch games, he would come watch, and that was always good.
Yeah, it's and what was it like compared to Australia, the culture? What, describe it for me. For
me, in the UK and Germany, for example, because I live there, but they just live, breathe football. Like you open the Herald Sun today, and fucking hell, we'll find a trophy, but you wouldn't even know. But
yeah, I know.
Over there, you would have the whole paper, front page, back page, middle, fold outs, posters of just full soccer. Like there's actually like full football papers for themselves. The Daily Mail and stuff like that. They love it. And that's something that, I know the media is only a small portion of the game, but it's huge where the fans live from Monday to Friday. They hate work, but the minute it hits Friday night, they're like, what, fucking game day's tomorrow. And they get pumped. They get pumped for 3 p.m. And that's something that when I saw that, I was like, man, these guys live for Saturday afternoons. And that's kind of, you want the game to get to like that in Australia, and I think AFL has that right now. They've got that culture of generational fans and passing on the league, like the scarves, and this dad supports this team, so the son supports it, and it just keeps going on generational. But Australia don't have that at this point in time because the NSL died. Then the A-League came in, so there's all these different teams. Like my dad's team that he played for in the NSL, they're no longer a club professionally. They are a semi-pro, but they're not professional. So you kind of you realise that they're just so passionate. And whether that's Scotland, England, Germany, they're all the same. They love the game. And now I can fully understand and appreciate that that's why it's called the world game. Because no matter where you go, they play it. I was just recently in Thailand, mate. Oh, they're kicking bare feet with a ball. They're kicking a melon. Like it just shows you that doesn't matter where you are. This game is played all around the world. And to know that I'm probably one of the few that have had that lucky chance to forge a career out of this game, you always have to pinch yourself because you're always that close away from not making it. And I remember specific moments in my career where that was a turning point. And then you go a couple of years, that was a turning point. If it hadn't gone that way, I would have been back there. I would have been a semi-pro player, and milestones along the way.
What was the biggest turning point?
So I was at Perth, and so I signed a three-year contract at Perth, and really thought that I was really going to kick on as a kid because I hadn't played against men fully. So I came back to the A-League, still away from family because family's in Melbourne. So I thought, Perth Glory is the perfect opportunity to still be away, but to ply my trade. And I'm a young boy. First couple games got muscled around by these bigger lads, and I'm thinking, fuck, man, I'm even failing here, And then it got to a point where I scored my first goal, and I'm like, okay, calm down a bit. Your more chances will come. And then our coach had moved on, Alistair Edwards, who was a great coach for me. He's the one that signed me. Then a new coach came in, and from day one, I knew I was not in his plans. And you understand that you're not going to be in some coaches' plans. Some coaches rate you, some don't. Some have it personally, some just don't. But I wasn't a fan of this. He wasn't a fan. He just didn't rate me for whatever reason. He might have his own reasons. He might say how he feels, but I knew I was never going to play. So I was literally, there was a period where if I hadn't have probably kept my professionalism, I would have fallen into a big hole, and that big hole would have led to semi-pro, amateur, maybe given up, all sorts. Like things that are going through my head right now, I'm thinking I literally could have been a tradie by 22 easily.
Wow.
Easily. But at 22, I'd won a golden boot in the A-League. So I'm thinking that's how fine lines are. But at that time, I had to prove him wrong. Like, he would only give me 5-10 minutes at a time. I'd come on and score. Next week, be on the bench again. And we'd have open, honest conversations. I'd say, mate, what the fuck do I got to do? Like, I've come on last week and I've scored 2. We won 2-1. We were losing when you brought me on, by the way. And like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm working hard in training. I'm doing extras. He's like, yeah, your chance will come. Your chance will come. But it never really came. And then when it got too far gone, we had a few injuries with our squad. So I actually had to start games. And when I started games, I scored a hat-trick against my mob now, Melbourne City. And then Perth tried to turn around and say, no, we want to keep you now. So I was kind of, I was over the hill at that time. So I was like,
they lost you. They'd lost
me mentally. So I was like, once you do that, you kind of go back. But then I moved on to Brisbane, and Brisbane looked after me. John Aloisi was great for me, and I played games. But that period at Perth, if I had sacked it off, you wouldn't even know my name. Yeah. That's how easily I can put it. Like, that's how probably bluntly and simply it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can't work that out. I mean, we've all had coaches that just don't give you the run, and but that conversation you've had, you've come on, you kicked 2, your time will come, son. Like, it's bizarre, and it's good. It's good that, again, you get to, not that you stick it up for that reason, but it is good to go back and say, hey, look, I've
that's the thing. You
wrong.
don't want to be that sort of, I'm not saying it's immature, but you don't want to be that person that's like, oh, fuck you and whatever. But it was kind of like internally like, fuck, you know what? I'm actually going to just show them what they could have had.
100%.
If I got looked after, they actually probably could have, I met my wife there in Perth. I loved Perth, but didn't work out. And you know what? Nothing in this game is going to be, if there's ever a thing I can tell young kids now is it's not going to be smooth sailing. Like, just know you're going to get fucking hurdles and mountains. And I'm not talking about little hurdles. I'm talking about big ones. And it's about how you deal with them and how you approach it, how your positivity comes out of it, your belief, confidence. It's a range of things.
Just on that, because there's a lot of kids that would be listening to this and a lot of people that aspire to be like you growing up. When you do get all this disappointment and you're away from home, what actions are you actually taking? There's probably psychologists on site. Sometimes you go, nah, you got your family. But when you're in such a dark place and you've been knocked back so many times and you start to question your own ability, what is it that you brought yourself back to?
Probably just myself. Like, I just built it off. You've come too far. You've worked too hard. Those 4 years you did away from your family, why did you do them? Like, what's your why? Like, why did you spend so long away from them? Because were you going to throw it away now? I kept telling myself that you're going to throw it away now. And I remember, for example, completely off topic with football, but my sister got married. I think close to fucking 9-10 years ago, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, it would be. So
2012 or something.
So she got married, and I remember just being on the sort of dance floor, and I just like grabbed her and started fucking crying. And then she was like, what are you crying for? She wasn't even crying. It's her wedding. And I said, I've just missed you all. Like, I haven't seen you guys properly in 4 years. Now I'm at Perth. I've just 6 years. I've missed you all, and you kind of realize that family is everything. And if you can kind of find that balance, that family are always going to be the one that's going to be there. But as long as they support you, then you can always fall back and realize that, okay, family's there, but you've also got to chase your dream, and just realize that setbacks are going to come. If no's are going to come. You're not good enough are going to come. Like, you're going to get these things. If you're going to accept that early on, mate, you'll be okay. But if you take the first no as, oh my God, everything's going to go wrong, and then you start doubting yourself and you start not believing in your ability, then you can kiss it goodbye. You might as well just hang your boots up at 16.
You're spot on. And it's the character that shines, no matter if it didn't work out professionally, but later in life. I've played with a lot of guys that got told they're not good enough or they didn't get selected, but internally people valued them and respected them, and you see them now and they're all running their own businesses, and they look back on their career and they're probably still filthy the way it went, but there's a reason why they're succeeding. They've had to knock all that back. I love how you said it's about your why.
But it's funny because, like, someone says to you, what's your best attribute in football? I probably wouldn't even say it's got anything to do with my ability. Do you know what I mean? It's my way that I can deal with certain situations where I can just say, right, fuck, he doesn't like me, no worry. It's having that bounce back ability to be able to say, okay, no problem, I accept that. Now I'll prove you wrong. Yeah. So you don't like it? Okay, no worries.
That
so
determination.
It's that determination, motivation, that inner fucking beast inside you to say, no, I don't accept that. So that's probably my best attribute. And then, okay, the cherry picking goals will fall in line, but that's what gets me in those positions.
Yeah, no, it's well said, mate. It's well said. I don't want to skip over the living over there. It's crazy, man. Like, I don't know a lot of people that have played over there. So I mean, I'm sure a lot of people. What other things that happened over there that were quite cool, like outside of?
I mean, if as a young kid, or I mean, in Germany, okay, I had to learn the language, and that was tough. You know, I remember, a few training drills where he would speak in German, but I wouldn't understand. And we had a team talk one time, and all I could remember him saying was Ferrari and fucking and house. And I was thinking, I said to the boys, did he just say, I don't care if we lose tomorrow, I'm going back to my Ferrari and my house? Because our coach was a big dog in Germany. And the boys were like, yeah, he just said, if we lose tomorrow, he might get sacked, but he doesn't give a fuck because he's going back to his Ferrari and his house. But he said, but you boys, you might get relegated from the second Bundesliga. So it's kind of like, fuck, he's really like,
put it on the boys.
Yeah, big time. So I was like, when you learn the language and you start to learn more, you kind of realize that, I mean, that was a great period in my life, Germany, because that also taught me things about me to have that bounce back ability, because it didn't work out, right? So I was like, fuck, okay, doesn't work out, no worries. I'll take a hit financially, and I'll go to a place where I probably will be loved, and that's where it eventually happened.
So let's just go quickly back there. So Perth Glory, you were there for what I know was it 2 years?
Yeah, 2 seasons.
Then you went to Brisbane Raw for 2?
2, yeah.
And then that's when you went to Germany.
Correct, yeah.
So how does that happen from Brisbane to Germany?
So I was coming off contracting as a free agent. Clubs will, because I was 22, just fresh off a golden boot. So clubs would have paid for me, but I was a free agent. So how you say as a free agent, the player probably gets more money, right? So I was kind of thinking, okay, so I'll go to Germany. This club was coming down from the Bundesliga, and I thought, it's a good step for me. If I'm played in the right position and if they give me the opportunity to play, I think I can do well. But from day one, I just knew that I was going to be played in a different position, and that was really tough in a foreign place. Going home to my wife saying, training's hard, because I'm like, you're almost getting found out because you're playing in this midfield position where I'm like, everyone in Australian football knows you take me out of the box, then you lose 95% of Jamie Maclaren. And that's where I've built my whole career, is inside that box and knowing where to go, timings, instinct. And then you take me out of that, it's fucking game over.
Why do they do that? Why do they take you out of that?
I think they just thought, what, we actually, because of my work rate, they probably thought, what, he's a runner, he's fit, he never really gets injured, so we can actually play him in midfield, and he can be sort of our guy that if we need a goal, he might be there or thereabouts close to the goal. But when you're playing in leagues like that, mate, you're playing against top. My number 6. So for example, I was playing like a number 8 or number 10. My number 6 played 20, 23, 30 times for Real Madrid. Hamid Altintop, probably the best player ability-wise I ever played with. He played for Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. Now, he used to get the ball and look up and play it to me, and I'd give it back to him because I don't want to fucking turn, because I can't turn. I'm no good. I said, mate, he goes, fucking turn. I said, mate, Hamid, I'm not a fucking midfielder. He says, I know, but like, I'm giving you the ball, just back yourself. And he was really good. We went for a few dinners sometimes, and he was just saying, mate, like, I'm sorry how things are working, but you just need to try and, I've been through periods like this, but I never had the ability that Hamid had. So it was probably easy for him to say that, but I just said, I'm finding it difficult. And he just said, come January, just try and get a move then. And, he's retired now. He was probably 34 at the time, but the knowledge and the advice and experience that he gave me, you don't get much better than Real Madrid. You don't.
No. That's awesome. And then that's when you go to Scotland.
Yeah.
And that's where you really enjoyed your time there, didn't you?
Yeah, loved it. Oh.
So they took you on a loan?
Yeah, loan deal.
I find the loans, just in general, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so Hibs tried to get me before Germany, but financially just didn't add up and didn't work. And then so January came around and I kind of put the feelers out. Well, they actually came first and said, look, would Jamie be interested in coming to Hibs on loan now? Because obviously they've seen he's gone to Germany and he hasn't played up front. We want to play him as number 9. Neil Lennon really likes him. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then I called my granddad and I said, Granddad, fucking Hibs are interested. He hung up on me because he's a Mad Hearts fan. Yeah, so over there, it's like,
he hates him.
And then I called him back. I said, Granddad, I'm not taking the piss. Like Hearts, Hibs want to sign me. At that time, Hearts were interested as well.
Does he live over there?
No, he's passed away now. But but he was a mad Jambo. So he kind of thought, come to Hearts, but he actually said Hibs are playing better football. So I kind of thought, okay, for him to say that, it's a big thing. So signed for Hibs and went on to pre-season, sort of mid-pre-season tour in Portugal. Met up with the boys, met up with Neil Lennon, signed the contract, and played 15 games that season in the Premier League for Scottish Prem, and scored 8 goals in 15 games, I think it was, and scored a hat-trick against Rangers. I got a penalty at Ibrox and a winner against Celtic. Like that, for me, in Scottish football, you don't get bigger than that. And that filled my belly. Like I was like, fuck, Scottish football, tick, you know? So really, really happy with how that stint went.
That's awesome, man. That's all. What's it like? Because I've only been in 2 clubs. It's daunting going to a new club. Yeah. I'm quite social, so I love people, so it's not that daunting for me. But these loans and all these different clubs you're going into, and a loan's different because you kind of know how long you're going to be there for, I'd assume. Yeah, so you're 6 months. You're expected to perform. You're coming in as the main man up front.
And you're coming from Germany, and they were like, mate, this boy better produce.
Yeah, so like what's it like?
The fans straight away were like, fucking hell, like, who have we signed? And all my dad's mates, because all my dad's mates in Scotland are messaging saying, fucking hell, is this your boy? And dad's like, yeah, that's my boy. He signed on loan. And because the media's quite big there too. So I really had quite a bit of pressure. And that's why I kind of, when it came, my second game was Rangers. That's why I kind of thought, you know what, it's worth being a hero rather than just being the villain. Because penalties are easily missed, but when they go in, and in the feeling that it was, 1-1, 75th minute or so, and just great feeling. Yeah, just for me, it was just.
Braden, we're gonna clip that up. You know, I talked to you the other day about 1 clip a week. We're gonna clip this up. We'll get everyone.
I've probably got footage of like fans that sent it to me from where they were sitting.
Get it in, and we'll clip this right up because I've watched it and it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy, and the atmosphere. So, and then so you had 6 months there, and I mean, when your time's up there, is it quite sad?
It was, and that was a period where I was trying to get into a World Cup squad, and I got cut, and then they brought me back in. Then I was on holiday, and they kind of said, "Oh, just hold off, stay on holiday." And I was kind of just getting yo-yoed for the Socceroos, and I was like, "Fuck, I just want to switch off." Like I've had a good year, but a good 6 months, but a shit full year because Germany didn't quite work out, and just wanted to go on holiday with Eva and go to Dubai and stuff like that. And like I said, nothing smooth sailing. So I kind of ended up getting picked back in the World Cup squad, and it was a surprise to me because I'd come in off, drinking wine for the last week, going into a Socceroo camp where boys are tip-top, ready to go to a World Cup, and I'm going in there as like, not a trialist because I knew all the boys because I'd already played for the Socceroos, but I was like, I'm not getting picked here. He's just brought me in just as a token gesture. But I ended up being in the final 23 and went to Russia.
What was it like, man, to be in the World Cup team?
Goosebumps. Like day one till the end of the thing was just goosebumps the whole time. Like to actually say, man, I've been to a World Cup was... Because that's what every player dreams of. And Australia have only been to a World Cup 4 times. So you can actually say you were part of a squad that have actually gone from Australia, because England and all those countries, they qualify on the regular. Yeah. But for our country, and we're in the process of trying to qualify right now, it's not as easy as people think. You're going down the Asian route now, where back in the day it used to be Oceania and then you'd play the winner of the South Americans, but they don't do that anymore. Now you've got to actually go through Asia, play against Japan, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, where they invest billions of dollars into their infrastructure and into their junior football, send over African kids, Spanish kids to get them nationalized passports. And you're playing against Qatar, and there's like 4 Argentinians, 3 Spanish, and three Africans. They're not even Qatari, but that's what they do. And their football team's unbelievable. They're coached by the best coaches, and that's just what we're competing up against at the moment. And it's up to us to sort of keep us there before we're not going to get left behind. But if we don't keep moving with them, then we will. But I don't think we will.
Yeah, I love that. I love that mindset. What's it like? Like, how long is the whole tournament, the World Cup?
So the World Cups, you're there for a month. A month of just lockdown, and this was obviously before COVID, so there was no sort of issues with that. But you just looked after private jets, all the Nike gear you could think of. Even just honestly, just putting on the green and gold is just an experience that not many get to do. And I think there's like 620 Socceroo caps that have ever been handed out. So I'm 5'8", but there's only been 600 players that have played for their country in soccer terms. So to be a part of that 600, cool, it's cool. I've got it tattooed on my body, and that's how special it is to me.
Yeah, that's epic, mate. And what are your fondest memories from the World Cup?
Just playing against France. So they were the favourites going in, Pogba, Griezmann, Varane at the back, and just seeing the whole, it was kind of scattered around the crowd, but you could see so much yellow. And then they started singing that Down Under song, the Men at Work. And then, so that was goosebumps, and then the national anthems, and then to then see France then push on and win the tournament. And then you played, they were the first game, you got to watch them in the flesh, and then they go and win the tournament. It's like, fair play. Like, you got Pogba and guys like that.
Mbappe's.
Yes, Mbappe, yeah.
He's one of the best going around.
Oh, he is by a country mile, and he'll probably leave PSG very soon as well. So just to see and be around that environment and just see that football at a World Cup was next level.
Mate, it's crazy. Some of the names you're competing against and mingling with, is it kind of like, are you a bit of a fan of some of these boys as well? Even though you are in there, like it probably wouldn't be, how do I put it? Like, I guess in our sport, you don't really have many fans unless you're an 18-year-old. But when you're playing, it's like, it is what it is.
I think it's you're a fan, but you actually just respect them on another level because, let's be honest, you know that how hard you've worked to be where you are or how good your talent is. You just know that some of these countries, they are better than you. They are. You just accept it. You say like, man, he's twice the player 3 times the player I am, and you can just be in awe of it. And all you can do is clap and just say, mate, I was able to see that guy in the flesh.
Shake hands with him after the game.
Yeah. So it's
you met Messi and Ronaldo and all these boys?
No, not those two. Those two, and I've not even got to see them live. So that's something that would be good.
Yeah, because they obviously, how long do you reckon they've got left?
I think they can play for a long time, but maybe at that level, I don't know. But their bodies are holding up well. Ronaldo's 16 goals in the Prem this year, like it's big. Yeah, like he's probably like 3rd or 4th top scorer in the league, and he's 37.
We forget how lucky we are, man. In all these sports, we get so many goats just rolling around, and people, like you said earlier, the media just tries to find, not all media, but there's always a story. Oh, he's done or he's washed up.
Negative.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, let's get around these blokes.
I know. I think that's something with Australia at the moment. I don't know if it's I just see it in soccer, but we just put ourselves down when someone achieves something or whatever. It's always but this and but that. It's always
we need to look at the positives much more.
Always negative.
So then obviously you loan the World Cup, which is awesome, mate. And then you come back to you come to Melbourne City, which is where you are now. And geez, like, so again, they approached you at the Hibs after World Cup?
Yes, correct. So it was January of 2019. I was at the Asian Cup with the Socceroos, and Asian got a phone call saying like, look, would Jamie be interested in coming back to Melbourne? And, I was kind of like, at the time I was like, fuck, do I want to go back now? It's good. Wouldn't say no, because at the club of Melbourne City have invested a lot into their
your facilities are incredible.
Yeah, so they're a sort of club that can actually lure you back, whether that's Melbourne City, Melbourne Beach. They've all got big auras about them, and those kind of clubs can always interest any player that want to come live in Australia because they're just the aura that they have. But I kind of thought, I stripped it all back and said, I can go to Melbourne City now, who are a mid-table team, who pay their squad quite a bit, but I can go there and give them my goals, double figures every year, and I can bring trophies to this club. And that was the goal for me. I was like, you know what, let's start that project. And I also wanted to come back to Melbourne because I wanted to be that guy that can give back to not only just the community, but to show like, man, you don't need to leave your country. You can come back, or people say, oh, well, he's come back, he's done, he's past it. I said, mate, I didn't have to come back, but I came back. And, it's 3 golden boots in a row, but I'm not trying to prove anyone wrong. I'm just saying I can do it in Melbourne, in my hometown, where you're happy off the pitch, you got your family support. And that was important for me to know that you're going to have good people, people that you've missed a lot of time with, because family comes before football. And if I could integrate both and put them both together, my family watch me every single game at Amy Park now. And for them to watch me week in, week out, they never got to do that since I was 15. So there's sometimes a bigger picture than what fans probably think. And I haven't looked back for 3.5 seasons.
Well said, mate. And you're spot on. People think, was he back in the day? The strong competitions are overseas. And when you come back here, you might think, they're washed, and it's not the case. And you're right, man. Like, I played a lot of games in Perth, and not many mates could come watch me. And the ones that did, it's special. Yep. I remember them. Family were, but like you said, they can come and watch you play, and all your friends, and you don't live too far away from everyone now. So, and what you've said that you would do, you have done. Like all these golden boots. all these trophies that you've brought. We just spoke earlier about what's coming up. It's quite exciting and quite young as well, which is awesome.
It's like that because I almost like to keep my goal. And people always ask me, what do you want to achieve at Melbourne City? And back then, and I said, I'll let my talking happen like as it goes. But I deep down knew that it's not all about golden boots, but it's about trophies. Like I wanted to win something as a club because this club had only won the FFA Cup at the time. And then now, we've got a grand final under about 2 premierships. We're, on track to hopefully reach another grand final this year. But the golden boots are just part and parcel of having a good team around you and, my own quality, trying to stick out and be not the main man, but just to show people that, man, you can doubt me all you want, but I'll still be there or thereabouts every year.
Yeah, it's good. And then people need to know that. You got to back yourself in. Matt, I'm keen to ask you, this is awesome. I'm keen to ask you heaps of quick questions and some questions from all the listeners out there, the American Aces Club. I really appreciate everyone that does reach out. A lot of supporters of your own that reached out, which is awesome. So I get to ask the questions on behalf of them. But before I get to those ones, I just want to talk about training and playing, if I haven't mentioned this already. Just some quick ones, but just a quick insight into your off seasons. And when are your seasons? There's so much going on in soccer. I can't keep up. Do you have an off season or do you stay ready?
We do, but it's very hard because you can only have maybe 2 or 3 weeks where you're off legs. And then you need to get back on the horse. Like you need to get back into the gym, start working on things, start running, doing stuff that can prepare you so you're not going in rusty. Because all it takes in pre-season, when they hit you hard, all it takes is a pinged hammy. And then you're like back to square one. You've got 6 weeks out. Your teammates are 10 weeks ahead of you. So you got to sort of make sure your body's still good. But I find off seasons are more mental. Like just lay on a beach, cop some sun, enjoy that, enjoy time with your partner or your family. And that's what I'll do this year with my honeymoon, but it's still about making sure that your body's still tuned in, but your mind can switch off from the game because the games and the last 2 years have been taxing on everybody, not just myself, but mentally and physically, you need to just zone out.
Just on the honeymoon, where are you going?
We're going to try France. She's Croatian, so we'll go Croatia and Abu Dhabi on the way back.
Yeah, brilliant. That's awesome, mate. France with RIXX, mate. Yeah. RIXX. Big shout out to RIXX. We went there for, I'll send you there for a day at the, there's a little golf club in the water there. RIXX nearly drowned. We went to, me, Griff Logan, him, we went there to play golf. We're in Spain, so San Sebastian. And we're like, let's go play golf. And I went online and like RIXX in France. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't even know. It's right next door. So I'm like, let's go there. It's about an hour away. And as we're playing golf, there's like this beach down below. And I'd heard all these photos from mates, like you got to go for a swim. And we had like, we just went, well, we'll go down there. We had a car. We booked a backpack actually. So we had like our shorts and all that just in case. And
polo top, you need a polo top.
We bought polos, man. We all got these green polos, everything, right? So we're going down there and we've played golf, thoroughly enjoyed it, overlooking the water, pristine conditions. We all played average. And we went for a swim, and then like Griff Logue, he's a beast. Like he used to be a rower, and he's just from WA. He's full back now. He's just a gun swimmer. But these waves out there, man, they were massive, and they were so dangerous. No one was in the water, and because we were sweating so much from walking 18, we were like a budgie smugglers on. We're like, let's go for a swim. So we go out there, and anyway, Griff's in there, and RIXX's like, he runs in, and as he runs in, man, these waves are so big. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going in, man. I was watching everyone, all these people, like locals on the beach, like, your friends are mad. Anyway, so like, RIXX's like trying, like when you're trying to get out.
He's probably my side.
Yeah, he's trying to get out. He can't get out. The waves kept dumping him as he's trying to get out. He's holding his breath. It was quite dangerous. And then, anyway, he comes out and I'm laughing at him. He's like, nearly crying. What are you laughing at, mate?
He died.
And he died. We nearly sent the lifeguards out to get him. Went to a bar nearby overlooking the water. I'll send it to you. But yeah, mate, it's I've only been in France for 24 hours. It's one of the best days of my life.
I can't imagine telling my missus, let's go play golf in France.
Yeah. Just go straight to the third place we went to. But that's awesome, mate. It's and how long will you go away for your honeymoon?
Probably 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
That's enough.
Yeah, that's Mickey, man. I want to know about the facilities. I've heard about these facilities. Why are they so good?
At City?
Yeah.
Just because they're trying to replicate what they've got at Manchester. We've got a lot of help from Casey, because we train down at Casey now, so a lot of help from the council, and they're going to build like this 3-story building, restaurant. It's also about having the academy players that can see kind of what I saw at Blackburn, but having that feel in Australia. So you can have kids that rock up and see the first team boys in around the building, take photos, maybe even just have a chat with a young under 13 player that wants to know what it takes to get to. So they kind of want to have that vibe. They want to have the women's game. The women's game's getting huge now. So we're going to have like a little mini stadium where we can play games and maybe cup games. And I think the women's will play some games there, if not Amy Park. So, and having top quality pitches, which most A-League clubs don't get to play on a top surface, but our surface is like Wembley. Yeah, so it's a credit to CFG and the City Group, who have invested a lot of money into making this club a powerhouse. And since I've joined, they've gone from being a mid-table club to top 2.
Yeah, it does. You can see it all kind of coming together. It's so important, good facilities.
It is. It does. It makes a difference. It really, and players who have maybe been at Melbourne City but then go somewhere else actually don't realise or took for granted what they had at City, or players that see what City want to join City. So you kind of, players want to come and join you, and obviously the ones that are good ones that the club want to sign, it's probably an easy buy because if they're 10 grand short here or there, they probably think, fuck, you know what, we actually can go to this club and they'll have my career for longer and have better facilities.
Spot on, man. Spot on. Recovery facility there, and also your recovery personally. I loved asking this question to athletes. Spoke to Mickey Zarafa, the boxer, about his diet and his recovery and his different methods, if you don't mind sharing. But obviously, we've got all these different kinds of things. There's a lot of running involved. Are you an ice bath man? You like heat? You like the ocean? What's your...
I like both. I love the ocean. The guys at Elite, where Mickey goes as well. I don't really have the sweets like Mickey has. But,
yeah, he loves the lollies.
Yeah,
mate.
Fucking hell. When I heard that, I was like, mate, I knew his diet was okay, but didn't know it was that bad.
I've had some mates reach out and go,
I'm going to try.
Like, sending me like all these lollies. Like, I'm getting on the Mickey diet.
So the guys at Elite, they really look after me, and in terms of that, because it's so close, and the travel for obviously my back and down to Casey and stuff, but we get looked after there. And whenever I'm feeling a little bit, I'll go get some treatment down here in Keilor East. And I love the hot, love the cold. A good cold shower is good too, just before the game, just put your head, get your nervous system going. And I've really found that you got to invest in your body. Like I bought a Compex machine, big boots that, the compression, those things add up. And as you get older, you take longer to recover from games, and nutrition's important. One thing that I'll never take away from all that is wine. Like one thing I've always stuck with it, superstitious wise, it's always a glass before a game, the night before, obviously.
Red wine?
With my pasta, yeah, red wine. Love my red wine. So I'll never give that away for anyone. So that's probably one thing that people might question, but it's something that I've always stuck with. And when you have a superstition and it works, I won't change it.
There you go. What kind of Pinot Noir?
Nah, it's too light for me. I got it for the Shiraz. Yeah,
deep.
Shiraz, CAPZ, Malbec.
So one glass is this?
One glass. One decent sized glass, and maybe 4 other glasses go to the wife. But I'll cook dinner, or she'll make a nice pasta, and we'll enjoy it. And I feel like it almost relaxes you a little bit too. You might be a bit tense for the game, and it just calms you a bit. So I've done it since I was 18, 19, and it's a bit weird. 18-year-old drinking wine, but 28 seems a bit more respectable. So yeah, I'll never give it up.
When you move away at 15, mate, we can almost drink at 16.
Red Bulls and vodka before games.
Mate, that's funny. You're quite superstitious. I've heard that you. Is it true that you change boots at half time if you're not playing well?
I've done that before, yeah. So if I think things aren't going well, if my movement's not that good, or even if I haven't touched the ball as much as I wanted, or if my touch is off, I'd go into the dressing room and I'd be thinking, I try and blame someone. If I'm not blaming myself, I'll blame the fucking boots, or I'll blame the shin pads, or I'll blame something. Change the shirt, put a fresh one on. But it's true that I've done that, and then I've gone in the second half and scored maybe 1 or 2, and I think it's those boots. So I make sure I look after them, clean them, and say, "Use ready next week."
It's funny because it's almost like a reset button, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
It's funny that everyone's got something different. I love the fact that you're like, "Fuck it, it's a boots." Oh mate, that's awesome. Just in games, let's go playing now. But like, how many? I'm actually really interested in your GPS. Like in terms of kilometers. Like what are you doing in a game roughly?
We play like a fairly high pressing game. So our front three, we're kind of always on the move, like just trying to win the ball back nice and high. So I'll probably do about 11.5 Ks a game.
It's heaps, man.
For an attacker, it's quite a bit, but it's rewarding. Like at the same time, you kind of think after the game, like, fuck man, I did some stupid running. Like what was I doing that for? But you realize that maybe that press that I did there, then this defender gave the ball away and my winger won the ball, crossed it, and I'm there free to score a goal. So you kind of get the reward further down the line, and you realize it's for the greater cause, and it's for your teammates too. Like they're your brothers. You're working for them. When you cross that white line, you know, you're not going to be, I'm not that player that throws my hands up in the air and says, fuck, when the guy goes past me, I don't say, oh, he's your problem now. I'll follow that guy or whatever the coach wants me to do in terms of work rate. That's probably one thing that I've always, in terms of what the coach wants from a high pressing game, that's probably one of the things I can do.
And I'd imagine if the high press means more space at the back, is that?
It does. You just force errors, and you know sometimes teams just then give it back to us, and then we can go attack again. So you kind of force them into areas where they don't want to be, or they feel a bit uncomfortable, and yeah, you just kind of just try and get the ball back as quick as you can, and the defense is only as good as the front, and you're only as good as your weakest link. And we feel at Melbourne City anyway that, you know, if one of us aren't doing our roles, we get picked off quickly. But if we're all doing it, no one can get out. So all it takes is that one guy in the chain who's maybe just half a second too late, they're out. But if you do it all right and it's all connected, then good luck.
It's like a little mini team within the lines, just on that.
Yeah, and there's been teams that have gotten out too. And it's kind of, then you got to react and try and get back and try and cover your own asses and do all that. So that takes character too.
100%. Now, during the week, do you have line meetings with, you know, like midfielders, forwards, backs, or is it all just?
It's not like footy. So you got a head coach, and he kind of picks his team, and then he talks about how he wants to do stuff and how tactics and with the ball, without the ball, and whatever. But we don't really have attacking coaches, midfield coaches, or at halftime I've seen the footy boys, they have like a circle talking to the attacking coach, and we don't have that. It's just straight down the line. U11 boys, this is the go, and yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, that kind of stuff. So there's only one coach, one message.
Yep.
That's good though.
And your experienced boys can chip in with what they see on the pitch, and it's good with our coach because you can kind of say at halftime, coach, like something's not working, and he might not see what we see on the pitch because you're looking from a different view. So you kind of explain to him, say, listen, this guy's, one of their midfielders is getting in this position. He's free. Like, what do we do? And then we kind of, if you don't fix it during the first half, you can kind of fix it at halftime and then go and rectify in the second half.
Yeah, it's brilliant. No, it's a different sport. That's why I wanted to ask. And obviously, much more as Pete sprints. So I'd imagine your sprint distance to be through the roof, because AFL, just for everyone listening, is about 14 to the greatest runners can do 16. But that's
1600.
No, 16 Ks all up in a game. Yeah. But you guys have ridiculous amount of sprints, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Which goes back to like your training. Do you do heaps of that MAS type?
Oh, we do that shit. Yeah,
I'd imagine
15 seconds break, 15 seconds go again.
Bro, it kills.
It's tough, man.
That's one of those things that people always ask me for, like programs. I might just do MAS, do 15 seconds up, 15 seconds break, do it 12 times, do 4 sets, and let me know how you go, and then do your one lappers after it, and tell me if you feel sick.
Well, even this track around the corner, mate. Like I've done my hard yards there as well. You do the 400 meters and you have a break. You give yourself 30 seconds break and then you go again, and you try and beat your time all the time. But you know, when you become lactic acid comes through your body, pre-season's the worst.
It's tough. What's the hardest thing about being a striker?
Probably when you go through like a drought. So a drought for, you know, maybe footy terms and stuff is if you're not scoring, people are saying, oh, you know, you're going through, you're not scoring. And then you start to question, oh, fuck, why am I in this area? Why am I at the near post? Why don't I go back post? Then you start to miss sitters, or you miss chances, you miss a penalty. And you start to think the world, like everything's against you, and you start to really, it eats you inside. You don't sleep at night. And, you know, a drought for me, for some commentators in this league anyway, it's 3 games. If I don't go, if I don't go a goal without in 3 games, they start calling it a crisis. But it's all about just bringing it back to the basics and just saying, mate, just put yourself in the right areas. You got good guys around you. But I always just bring it back and say, fuck all that. Just work your ass off, and some way or another, like, you will get rewarded. I've scored goals where I fucking didn't even know about it. Like, we played against Melbourne Victory at Marvel Stadium, and I was having a tough game, and, you know, not really getting in the game, but we had a corner, it got swung in, and it's come off one of our players and just hit me in the heel and went in. And I celebrated like I scored like a worldie. But then after the game, I said, you know what? Like, I know that sometimes when I'm working my ass off, that I'll get rewarded in weird ways. And that's kind of what just put yourself in the right position. Just hit me in the heel. I genuinely I didn't even know where it went, and the crowd just goes crazy. And I'm thinking, fuck, it's going in.
And your name is all
I'll take it.
In Marvel.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it was, just bring it back down to literally just, I'm not a big fan of the whole body language and players like just not working their ass off for their mates, because the older that I get, you realise that these boys are out there for you as well, and they'll make you good. They'll make you not only feel good and play well, but, you know, you can make them look good too. And it's about, and off the pitch too, you're good mates with them. So, yeah, I think that's one thing that I've gotten wiser as I've gotten older, and we've got a good group of players at Melbourne City.
It's good advice. And it's the same thing with everything. I keep getting a theme. Hard work. Hard work pays off.
Simple is it?
Work rate. Just, you want to know how you're going, just work harder and compare yourself to the guy next to you or whatever. But
there's always someone working harder than you. Like that's how I've always thought. If I'm working hard, there's always someone, wherever he is, there's always someone just working that little bit harder. So just give that little bit more. So
I love it. I've already gone over the superstitions. The atmosphere. What's the greatest atmosphere that you've encountered so far in your career?
Without a doubt, the one we talked about, the penalty at Rangers, just purely because I knew that they hated me, what was at stake, what I had on the line, just everything. And then when it goes in, then the final whistle goes, the head coach literally grabbed me by the neck and like was almost not kissing me, but he was screaming in my face. Spit was going everywhere, and he was passionate. He was a big Celtic man, and he said, "Do you fucking realise what you've just done?" And I was like, I scored against Rangers. He said, "You've just made fucking history," and then threw my head away and like almost pushed me over. But that's just what he was ingrained in him, because as a young kid, that's always beating Rangers was his biggest accomplishment. So to do it as a coach was big for him as well.
That's awesome, man. That's I love the passion. Anyone that's got passion, get him around me. Best teammate that you've played with and why?
I've played with a lot of good guys, a lot of good players, but as a package, probably our captain at the moment. And like, I'll make it known, me and Scott Jamison, we punch on a lot. Whether it's vocal, physical, in games, half time, we demand high standards. We're both winners. And I've played with him at Perth and played against him. And now we're obviously teammates at Melbourne City now. We've been teammates for 3.5 years. We carpool together. So he lives in Ascot Vale. I'm obviously Essendon. So it's a good relationship. And I know that whatever happens, we'll always shake hands and be mates. And everyone that sees us fight, they know, it's just Macca and Jamo. Like, don't worry about it. They're just little girls. So they're just punching on. So I'd say for him, it's been a long, probably 6 years I've been playing with him. So great guy and obviously one of my best mates. And another one is obviously Ryan Edwards, who I play with in the Olyroos, who plays in career at the moment. He was another player that I never had the pleasure to play with enough, because his work rate, mate, was fucking second to none. Like, this guy could run probably 16 Ks in a game. And for a soccer player, it's unheard of. So someone like him who would die for his teammate, and it would die for me as a mate. So those two blokes stand out. Yeah,
I love that. I love the competitive spirit of you and Jamo. That's brilliant, mate. Just the selection criteria of World Cup. Someone's written in and wants to know, how do you make it? Like, is it?
You're training for 3 weeks, literally training for 3 weeks, and the Socceroos coach was a Dutch guy, and fuck, I didn't have much luck with Dutch guys, did I? And
They're all Dutch.
Yeah, he basically just pulled me in and off the beach and said, "Mate, you've got a week. Go and impress me." I only had a week. Those boys had 3. He said, "You got a week," and I guess I did enough to get selected.
What's enough though? Like, what do you mean? Is he watching you train?
Maybe he saw things I do differently to other strikers, or make runs in behind, because my game is built on just playing on the shoulder of defenders and making sure that they can't see me and
slipping them and all that.
Yeah, trying to be like stay on side as well. So maybe I brought something that he wanted to have just in case. As a coach, you always want to have variety. So he probably saw that, and I was fresh off some goals, so he probably thought I'm in form.
Yeah, no, it's great. All right, that's the questions about training. We've already gone about, just on the diet. Do you guys do skin folds?
Yeah.
They still doing them?
Fuck, boys are going to laugh. So my skin folds are high purely because my quad is about 18.
The quad?
I can't fucking work it out, man. And I don't have big legs as it is.
Who cares, man? You got a good rig? What are you around the stomach?
The rig's all right. It's probably in 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Could be better.
I used to cop the skin folds, man.
Oh, yeah.
I think
they're not saying they focus too much on it. You obviously, as a player, you should really focus on that. But there comes a point is some of it's genetics. I'm not a scientist, but some of it's fucking genetics.
I'm telling you right now. Listen here, Ross Lyon it was great though, because it made you work harder. And in the gym, like, I'm working like a dog just to get myself under 50, because everyone's in the 40s.
Obsessed with this 50.
Obsessed with it. Like the line was 55, and you're not allowed to train, and 50 was like you're not allowed to play, right? And I'll never forget, I've come back and I've like nearly won the time trial. I've come like second. I think I come 3rd or 4th as an 18-year-old. And I'm up and about. I've hardly spoken to the coach. I get the tap, like literally probably my first convo, and it's like, "Mate, you're not training for 2 weeks. You're too fat." So what do you mean, man? He's like, your skin folds are 58. And I was like, it was the first time I ever heard of skin folds. And I think they're banning them now, which is great because I used to like, I mean, it actually was a good benchmark because like I definitely knew that you'd blow out from what you average. Like, you know, if you're eating shit and you're not training hard or you're in good routine, you're
people lose, you can lose weight, but you can't lose skin folds.
And some of the pain that caused some blokes, like we had a few blokes naturally just massive, they'd starve themselves.
That's what I mean. It's not healthy. It's actually more unhealthy doing what they're doing to try and get down than to keep the club should realise that, and people saying, oh, you just because you got a quad. I'm going to cover. The boys are going to say, mate, just get in the gym and work on your quads train. So, but for me, it's like you got to break it all down. The footballer, what's he producing on the field? Is he durable? Is he injury prone? All these factors are it. So, like for me, I touch wood. I'm fairly good in the gym, rarely injured. So if I can produce 90 minutes a week on week. What's my quad? My quad's obviously fucking running.
Yeah. I know. I used to just, the actual funny thing you say about quad, I actually got my quad down. Don't know. I think I must have got stronger in the gym. I got skinny, like chicken legs, right? So I must have put a couple of kilos on the quads and all of a sudden I got the quads under 10 and the calves went down. And that's where I used to make my gains because my stomach used to cop it. But anyone out there that doesn't know what we're talking about, skin fold testing is not fun. And especially day one of free season when you've had an off season.
I can get rid of it.
Righto, this is a segment we have from CAPZ, huge sponsor of the show, mate. Righto, so you get the caps there. We've got a couple of gifts in there, but from CAPZ, we love CAPZ, the home of headwear. I know you love your hats. Pick one that you love, and while you're doing it, tell me what the greatest moment of your career has been so far, your CAPZ moment.
CAPZ moment. You know what, probably getting that phone call that I'm in the World Cup squad. I think because I was dead and buried. When I say I was 6 feet under, I was nowhere near it. I wasn't even the best 30 players for the selection. My name wasn't even in the hat. And to get a phone call sitting on a beach in Dubai was a feeling I couldn't explain because I was probably half cut on fucking Shiraz too. And I said to the guy, mate, you're taking the piss. Like, I haven't trained in about 10 days. Like, what do you want from me? They said, mate, we might have to get you to the training camp in the next few days. So that feeling, and then obviously when I got there, I still wasn't guaranteed. So I kind of went in there like with a free hit because I was like, he's probably going to bin me anyway. So I'm just going to come in here, put my head down, work hard, see the lads, and I'll go back and join my missus back on holiday. But a couple of days later, it goes by, WhatsApp chat, and you kind of, when you have the WhatsApp groups, it had World Cup squad. You're being added into it. And I was like, nah. So when your guts drop, your heart drops, goosebumps, and you're thinking, fucking hell, like that's a dream. Like, for me, I'm speechless talking about it because it's like those are the dreams that are priceless. Without a doubt, you couldn't put an amount of how I felt that day. It was in Turkey, and there was boys who I was very close with that probably didn't get that message who I would know exactly how they're feeling. So they would probably look at me like, fucking hell, Macca's Stephen Bradbury here. He fucking wasn't here for 3 weeks, but now he's just rocked up, trained 3 days, and he's in the squad. So I can imagine the roller coaster of emotions that some boys have gone through, and myself as well. Like I said to you, mate, I said, no, I'm not going to a World Cup 3 weeks before that.
That's so good, man. Well, there you go. That CAPZ moment. I love the CAPZ moment. Yeah. That is awesome. The WhatsApp, the feeling.
Oh, mate.
To come from the clouds. It's always the case when you're not expecting it.
You know what? They were dark times, right? Yeah. Before they hit to the good, they were dark as. I was like upset with my missus. I was crying because I'd worked so hard to leave Germany to go to Scotland to put everything on the line to just get on that plane. Just get on that plane to Russia, man. You might only get to one World Cup, but just do everything you can. And I feel like I ticked every single box in Scotland. And then to on the final day, scored a hat-trick against Rangers to get that no was... it's heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking.
It's such a roller coaster. You're literally like the stocks I've got in all these things I've invested on the stock market. One day they're on the roof, one day they're on the floor, mate. It's just the roller coaster. Yeah. It literally is a roller coaster, and there's a lot of downs. People don't realize there's 90% of downs, but geez, the ups are high, aren't they? They're high, and that story you just told is
that's why the higher was even higher because of how below I was. I was 6 feet under, mate. I was like not even in the coach's fucking roster.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's it. And
The Undertaker.
yeah, the Undertaker come from the clouds, mate. That's epic. Righto, this is what I said before. I've got some questions from the club, all the people listening, and I love, I must say, thank you to everyone that writes in and asks a question. We love having you a part of the shows, and I personally love the responsibility of reading them, especially to our cool guests. So I'll read these out. The first one, my 8-year-old son, Jackson, would love to know what you would suggest he should focus on improving his game as a striker. An 8-year-old.
Yeah, well, if I go back to when I was 8, my dad would say you're a right footer, but how good's your left? And, I'd always try and put myself back on the right and have a shot with my right, and he'd say, no, go onto your left, have a shot with your left. And then I'd feel like a spastic just kicking it wide or, not having the right technique. And then my dad would say, listen, head over the ball and just give me the basics of a left foot and having that coordination for the left foot. So as I got older, when the ball fell to me in the box, I'm not always trying to bring, because the better players you play against, they'll tackle you. So you've only got a snapshot of your left foot or your right foot. So you got to be able to hit with both feet. And the best players in the world have both feet and they're comfortable with both, wherever it falls to them. So I'd say work on both feet and make sure your kid almost get to a point where if someone said to me now, what foot are you? I could say I don't know.
That's
because
awesome.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I do know I'm a right footer, but I don't. That's how good my left foot is because I've worked. If someone said to me, if you want to do a volley, my volley on my left foot's better than my right foot.
And that's just years of repetition.
Yeah, it is. And now I believe in it. So when you believe in something and you kind of thinking the hours you put in, even your left foot believes it. So
it's brilliant. It's the same. Yeah, it's the same with everything, isn't it? Use both hands, use both feet. Great advice. Just on that, how old were you when your old man taught you that? Was it really young?
Oh, yeah, same question. 7 or 8, yeah.
Awesome. Easily. There you go. Jackson, get on the left or right, depending on your preferred. Righto, what does it truly feel like putting on a Melbourne City jersey and walking out onto Amy Park?
Oh, to put it simply, proud. Big reason why I joined the football club, because I know that where they were, they had so much growth, and I wanted to be a part of that growth, and I wanted to be a part of success because everyone was saying, yeah, City, they've got money, they've got backing from Manchester and City Football Group in Abu Dhabi, but they're a soft underbelly club that are weak when it comes to big games. And I said, fuck that, mate. I feel like I'm a big game player and I feel like I can add something to that club. And 3.5 years later, I think we've spoken for itself. So I've always wanted to be a proud Melbourne City player and a proud Melbourne boy, and to do it in my hometown with a club that backs me and a fan base that I think love me. So, pretty happy.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Well done, mate, and well said. This is you can answer this quickly. I've already gone through it. How did you get so good at soccer?
I wouldn't even say I'm good, whoever wrote that. I've just believed. It's fairly cliche, but you believe, even if you're going through your darkest times, always just think that something will dig you out. And 9 times out of 10, it's your determination and your desire and your hunger to go out and do it. When 5 a.m. in the morning when you wake up and sometimes you don't want to get out of bed, just get out of bed. Just wake up and attack the day, and just make sure that when you go to training, you don't take every session for granted. Like, if I can ever give any advice to young boys, is just never be satisfied with just your training session. So if you can spend 5, 10, 20 minutes after sessions working on your craft, whether it's defending, tackling, heading, fucking shooting, whatever that is, just spend a bit of time on it, because I know that you will improve. You'll see improvements week on week, day on day, month on month. You'll see your game go to another level, and practice makes perfect. But you'll never get perfect. You always strive for perfect, but you'll never get it. But just get as close as you can.
It's great advice, man, and hopefully everyone listening is taking this on board. Thanks for answering that question so honestly. We'll skip the next question. What does it take to become a professional footballer? I've already gone through the journey. A lot of downs, that's what it takes, and a lot of determination, like you just said. How do you impress on trial with a European club? This is a great question. So when you were younger, what was it that you did that impressed? Because it's training.
As an Aussie, you almost go in there as you're not respected. It's just a fact. Like these English guys, these foreign Europeans, these South Americans, they would say, fuck, what? The Australia plays soccer, and you've got to go there with, yeah, we fucking do, mate. Like, you've got to go there and say, okay, I'll show you. I've got Scottish blood. I've got Maltese blood. I'm Australian, but I've got European history in my family. So you have to go there and basically, you got to work hard, but you got to show them that you're as good as them. And, at the time I thought I did. I still had a long way to go. Like I said, when I got and saw the wingers at Blackburn, let alone Manchester and Liverpool, the wingers, I was nowhere near it. So I had to deploy myself in another position that they saw, and it worked. They developed me into being a goal scoring machine at that level, and to keep going. And I saw some of the best strikers in the world and live on TV or live in the stadium, and got to take those experiences. And as a young kid, you sink or swim. Like, you got to take the advice from the older, experienced first team players, or just think you're as good as you are, and you will never get anywhere. So just you got to soak it all in.
It's great. Favorite Collingwood player and why?
Favorite Collingwood player? Oh, look, if we go back to like the Buckley days.
Yeah, when you're growing up.
Loved obviously Nathan Buckley, and you had Leon Davis, guys like that, the small forwards.
Leon.
People think that I could, if I played footy, I honestly think, not saying I could play AFL, but I think I'd be like the Alan Didak or whatever. Yeah. But now I'd probably, just purely because he's a good lad, but John Noble, he's got number 9. He wears the Vapors as well. So we've kind of got a little bit of connection there.
That's great.
So I've been watching Collingwood, and he's a good young player as well. So they're on the rise, and the new young boy Ginnivan's doing quite well too. So I love his confidence, and I can see a little bit of thing of, when people are talking about him, he makes them talk about him even more, which I like.
Yeah, it's great. And you'd like his hairstyles. We haven't spoken about your hairstyles. You've had some hairstyles over the time.
I have, mate.
And the rumours are, Paulie Salberg, shout out again. The emo used to be like an emo, they reckon, mate.
No, so he's fucking got me here. So I had blonde tips. I used to use Steph's, my sister's straightener, to have like the fringe coming over.
I used to do the same thing with
we all did in Sunbury, right?
Yeah.
So I had this mousy brown hair with the blonde tips and whatever, and got to a point where I was like, fuck, I want to change it. So we went to Coles, and I said, is there any way I can just get these blonde out and go back to my mousy brown, just natural? And the lady was like, yeah, just try this L'Oreal one. So we went home. Mum and Dad were out for dinner. We put it on my hair. We sat for like 5 minutes. No shit, 5 minutes. Had a shower, and it came back jet black. It just fucking went emo. So I was like, no. So I had a game the next day, and all the boys are saying, where's Jamie? Is he playing? And people were like, yeah, that's him with the black hair, the fucking number 7. So I said, got home, shaved it off, number 1, and I haven't, I've dyed it peroxide. I've done that, done a few hairstyles like that.
I don't mind it. It looks good when you do that.
Yeah. I did it the last 2 pre-seasons, and they've kind of worked out all right. And my coach is really superstitious, so he'll be saying to me in pre-season, mate, get rid of it.
Oh,
blonde
really?
again. Yeah, he'll be saying blonde again.
So he doesn't like it. So he wants you just clean cut like
no,
you
he
are.
likes this, but he wants me to bring peroxide in pre-season because the last 2 years we won the championship. So he wants me to do. He want me to do it again.
Sorry, yes,
yeah.
that's
so
awesome.
I get rid of it. I have it in pre-season, and I get rid of it.
So now that's the hairstyle for finals. You're going to keep it like that?
No, it's not going to grow too much quicker. I just got rid of this because of Thailand was fucking 40, 41 degrees humidity. So I just had hair like yours lengthwise, and I just said, nah, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
I'm married now, so it's all right.
Yeah, you don't care. Mate, that's great. Great feedback here. Here we go. There's 2 more questions to go. If you could recruit one player from another team in the A-League to join you at Melbourne City, who would it be and why?
It's a good question.
It is a good question. Like I said, some great questions.
There are some top players in this league. Really, really good, but I'm probably more thinking that would benefit our football club with the way we are. I'd say there's a young boy, Jake Brimmer at Victory. Very, very impressed with him. We actually had our own little tiff in a derby game where I missed a penalty, and he said to me, fucking Socceroo missing a penalty. And I said, you cheeky little fucker. So then we scored, and then I was up in his face like, go on, Jakey, we're going to fucking do you tonight. And then we went 5-6, and we won 6-0. So every celebration I was in his face, but we've patched things up, and he's a good kid. He's a top player, and he'll be destined for Socceroos. He's probably had one of the best years that a younger player has had in the league, and he's someone that he's a rival player, but you respect him because he's done so well, and he was at Liverpool as a young kid. He's come back to Australia, and similar journeys to me. Go as a young kid, come back and try and prove yourself. And my City fans probably won't like me saying a Melbourne Victory player, but out of respect, take all the rivalry apart, the person and the player. The fact that we had a little tiff was good. I like that from him, but also the quality that he brings.
That's brilliant. Well done. It's great. Dumb question. How do you score so much? If I was a striker,
get in the box, stand there and fucking wait. I don't know, mate. It's a habit. It's a great feeling. I feel like other than maybe getting married and having maybe kids in the future, I don't think there's too many better feelings than hearing the net ripple. So that'll be as simple as I can put it. There's no better feeling than having fans jump up on their feet, spill their beer because of what the action that you did. And no greater feeling than scoring a goal.
It's a bums on seats mentality,
Bums on
and
seats,
I definitely would rather be a striker than a defender. I can tell you what, mate. So before I ask you the next segment and we wrap up, the banter. I love the banter side of things. It'd be because soccer, there's not many goals scored, right?
Yeah,
so it's, I mean, there is if you're having a good day, but when you kick a goal and you're 1-0 up and there's not much time, is there a lot of chirp on the pitch? Or is it just, hang on, it's
1-0's fucking risky to do that.
So 2-0?
Yeah, 2-0. 2-0's a little bit more respect. You can say to the boys, hey, you fucking, these boys paying you? Or, you know what I mean? So you can kind of like have a bit of banter. Like the other night I was saying to the Wellington boys, because we went 2-1 up and they'd scored and they were playing quite well. And I said to one of the midfielders, I said, mate, is Melbourne Victory guys giving you a little on the side, because you guys are playing unbelievable. So you have a bit of banter, and the guys that you know, the centre back that I was up against is one of my good mates, Tim Payne. So you do have banter, and like I said, the one with Jake Brimmer was purely because he actually had the confidence to say to me, mate, fucking a Socceroo missing a penalty. Like it was actually really good.
Bastard,
I'm like, I love that. But then he didn't realise what would happen 70 minutes later is us winning 6-0 at Marvel. So ever since then you do have that little banter, and you just don't want to cross the line. Like, you know, obviously I got sent off this year and I regret it. Called the ref a cheat. It wasn't good. But I just felt, you know, the heat of the moment, I got smashed 5 minutes before that. So I was in pain and all the emotion and stuff like that. So for me, it was, a bit different. And you just move on.
What's the best banter you have heard on the pitch?
I say probably even just, Jamo, just given to play. He loves it every game. You know, he's the sort of player that just loves to give it, and
it's always fun, isn't it?
He's our captain. He's just he gets them all started and gets into little melees every game and stuff like that. So, you love the banter, and you just hope that there's just once you cross the white line, you shake hands and you're all mates and stuff like that.
100%, man, 100%. Last segment, RIXX and retirement. So I've got obviously the RIXXies here. I know you love the Melrose mates. Not that you need any more confidence, but. Look out, the great man.
Looking all right?
Yeah, they look really fresh. While you're wearing them, right, I want you to tell me, RIXX and retirement is the last segment. Once you've finished up, you've retired, you've got kids, you know, you don't need to work anymore because you're cashed up. You could be 36, you could be 50, doesn't really matter, but you're done. Where's the one place that Jamie Maclaren would love to live in the world, and why?
Probably somewhere in Croatia, maybe like a nice little village there. Make sure there's a little winery down the road. But by then, I'd like to think that I could speak the language. It's very difficult, but she can speak the language, and a great country with a lot of good history, good food, friendly people, and obviously keep the house in Melbourne, but have a little holiday destination over in Croatia in Europe.
There you go, Croatia. There it is, RIXX and retirement for the great man. Mate, thank you so much for joining us here at American Aces. We all love watching what you do, and we'll be supporting you in the next month closely, but obviously wish you nothing but the success moving forward. And thanks for joining us, and thanks for your time, brother. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you. And everyone else out there, if you can subscribe, it does make a huge difference. Share our podcast if you're enjoying it, and feel free to leave a review. But it means a lot when you reach out, and, you know, blokes like Macca come on and love your questions, and so does everyone else. So wherever you are, enjoy the rest of your day or night. Have a great time. And once again, mate, thanks for joining us on Tommy Talks.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to another episode. If you enjoy listening to our podcast, please feel free to hit us up on our social channels at American Aces. If you're entertained, inspired, or feel more educated, please share it with your friends and family, because we appreciate the support. Righto, catch you on the next one.